The homes of interior designers encapsulate exceptional taste and keen decorating instincts, reflecting their talent for finding unique pieces and seamlessly blending colors, patterns, and textures. Today on Homeworthy, we tour 4 interior designer residences: a traditional Northern California home, a classic and warm New York colonial, a Carmel-valley ranch home, and an eclectic 1950s Mississippi haven. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Before today's episode, click the join button below to support all of the storytelling we do on this channel. Our growing community of members help to directly fund more videos so we can capture these extraordinary homes from around the world. So join today to receive early and exclusive access to new Homeworthy videos. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Nancy from sunny California. Welcome to my home. Come on in and let me show you around.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Like and subscribe for more.
Hi, I'm Nancy Evers, and welcome to my home in Atherton, California. I live here with my husband Scott and our 3 children, and Raymond, who is pretty much my 4th child. So I moved to Atherton with my husband and 3 children when our kids were pretty young. We moved to this area to be closer to their school and to downtown. And we found this piece of property. The existing home on it was pretty old and just really not our style. Our style has always tended to be a little more East Coast, Nantucket, from New Orleans and the East Coast. So we bought this property and then sort of built our family dream home on it. It's about 6,000 square feet, 4 bedrooms, basement, great room. Really important for us to sort of have that indoor-outdoor California style entertaining. We love to entertain, so we have a formal dining room and then a more casual spaces towards the back of the house. I've lived in California for the last 24 years, and there really is kind of a more casual sense of living out here, and so I wanted to make sure that the house was easy for entertaining, both casually and formally. I love hosting holidays, love having dinner parties, but we also spend probably half, if not more, of the year outside in our backyard. So we're in the foyer right now, and you'll see a lot of the rooms in the front of the house are a little bit more formal than the more casual spaces towards the back. But what I love about this room is when you walk in, you're surrounded by some of my favorite pieces of art. And actually during the pandemic, when I had so much time on my hands, I had a little project of adding art on all of the paneled walls, which I love. One of the first pieces of art that I bought when I first started collecting is this Elise Morris painting. She is one of my favorite artists. I have another smaller piece of hers. And then I love brass, so you'll see a lot of brass elements throughout the space, whether it's these fixtures from Waterworks or the handles here. Also, a good friend of mine is a talented painter, Andy Yablonsky, and you'll see her art throughout the house as well. So these are a couple of my favorite pieces. I'm also partial to this piece was one of my daughters painted in art camp when she was younger. You'll see a couple other pieces as well. So right off the foyer is our formal living room, which is not that formal ever since the pandemic when we had to convert it to a home office, which now my husband and I work from every so often ourselves. But it's one of my favorite rooms. I love coming in here. I love sitting in here. I've got grass cloth and it just warms up the space so much. One of our sofas, you'll see throughout the house. Obviously, a lot of my upholstery is from my own line, but I love green. You'll see green and blue and browns throughout the house quite a bit. But I love coming in here in the evening. I'm actually in this chair almost every evening. Even if my husband's working at the desk, I'm here with my laptop. I also love the space. One of the very first piece of art I ever bought back when I was about 30 years old, I think, is this piece from an art gallery in Seattle. I saw it online, it spoke to me, and it's just made its way to every house, and I love it. I love collecting things like Christopher Spitzmiller lamps and tying it in with some of these more sort of modern. This is the brass coffee table I got off of Cherish, and just little elements here and there. Another favorite piece of art that I love is this woman here. I was DM'd by an art gallery in New Orleans, Claire Elizabeth Gallery, and she sent me a link to this and said, "You look just like this woman," and I actually have a dress almost exactly like that. So I purchased it from her, and we've actually become great friends, and I visit her when I'm in New Orleans now. The architecture of the home tends to be a little bit more traditional, while I focus the decorating more on kind of that transitional style. I have an interior design business and showroom here locally, so a lot of what you'll see here are many of the lines that I represent, that I've curated in the showroom, and they all really work well together. So you'll see a mix of traditional with a little bit more, maybe some edgier art or some unexpected decor elements, but I really like to mix styles and bring in some older pieces with newer pieces, and as you'll see, I love pattern, I love color. On the other side of the foyer is a pass-through room that takes you to the dining room, and I'll take you over there now. So we incorporated this room partly because I really wanted a butler's pantry off the dining room, and we had to sort of stretch the space between the foyer and the dining room. So it's really just a pretty space. I created this gallery wall with some favorite pieces of mine. Have a nod to the French Quarter with a matchbook from Pat O'Brien's bar, my 3 kids from our trip to Nantucket this summer. And I love this room just from, again, green. I did more of a matte finish in here. I love the round window, which again is sort of my nod to Nantucket, along with the photo of my kids pictured in Nantucket. So I love walking through this room to get to the dining room. So really, this is my favorite room in the house. And I think because it's filled with so many memories of holidays and great dinner parties, and really I think about so many laughs and so much fun around this table. So speaking of the table, it is one of my own designs from Evers Collective. We have a custom table line. And I love a racetrack oval table. And it sort of mimics the round front of the windows in the front of the house. So that was important to me. These are chairs that I found on Cherish, vintage, and redid them. We have a Gracie Studio wallpaper panel here. This wallpaper is just a slightly textured, which I love. Lindsay Edelman light fixture, which again I've had for 11 years and still love it as much today as I did when I first designed the house. And I have a lot of china and glassware, and so between my butler's pantry and the storage here in the dining room, I have a lot of spaces to fill. Much like the rest of my house, which is a lot of layers and color, that's how I approach setting my table for dinner parties a lot. I love layering different plates. They all don't have to match. I love a patterned salad plate with a more plain dinner plate, and of course colorful napkins and runners and tablecloths. These coupes are vintage that I found, and again, I love putting together, I kind of call it my love language. I love hosting friends and family and setting this table and putting in the time and effort to make them feel really at home. So I do that a lot with how I approach setting a table for a holiday or a dinner party. I like to cook myself for most of my dinner parties, and so it's really important to pick dishes that are easy and that can be made ahead of time so that you can sit down with your guests, you're not running around, and really enjoy the company without being in the kitchen the whole time. So you'll see when we get to the kitchen, I have a warming drawer and various ovens, and I really want to make sure everything is made ahead of time before we get to the dining room. When we were designing the house, I really wanted to put a beautiful built-in in the dining room. So when we have Thanksgiving or Christmas, all the food is laid out here, really easy. I worked on the custom cabinetry with this design and the brass pulls and paired it with antique mirror. I love to source from a shop in San Francisco found by Maya. She pulls beautiful pieces from Europe, and these brass circles, I sometimes have candles in them, sometimes have flowers. So again, I love to sort of layer the candlelight and the light throughout the room. So I began my career in PR and marketing in New York City, and lived on the Upper West Side and Greenwich Village, and really sort of always tweaking the apartments that I lived in. I had a 5th floor walk up in the West Village, and it was really the first time I was living by myself, and I had a lot of fun decorating it, but still really passionate about my career in PR. Made my way to Denver after a few years in New York City, and did restaurant and hospitality PR, met my husband in Denver, and we moved to the Bay Area in 2000. Still working in PR, I was at Yahoo for 6 years in PR and marketing and influencer marketing there. And then I was on maternity leave with my second, and we were building our previous home, and just started making decisions on design elements in the house, and really enjoyed it, and decided not to go back to Yahoo after my daughter was born, and then started to help friends with redecorating their house, and then decided to launch my own business. So I was about 5 years on my own, and then 10 years with a business partner, Evers and Anderson Interior Design. And then during COVID, just kind of had one of those, aha moments, like pivots, really wanted to go out on my own again, and launched a boutique showroom. So now we're in the butler's pantry, which is really a great transition room between the dining room and the kitchen. And I mentioned I love to collect china and glassware, and so this is where almost everything is stored here. I have my china from when I registered when I got married, and purposely got something that was complementary to what my parents had. So I've made a deal with my siblings that I get that somewhere down the line. So, and I just love pattern and, again, layering different designs, different plates of something. If I see something and it speaks to me, I buy it, and I love these for Christmas. So I have a lot of fun with my china and glassware, and I love using what I registered for when I got married and then mixing it with some more casual pieces as well. But I never just reserve china for holidays. We use it a lot. So when we first designed the house, this whole room was kind of very plain, white cabinetry, white walls, and of course, over time, had to add some more color. So I had everything painted a high gloss, all the cabinetry in this pale navy, and then paired it with C.W. Stockwell Remy, which is one of my favorite wallpapers that we carry in the showroom. So we did the walls and the ceiling, and it brings me so much joy when I'm in this room and surrounded by the blue and the pattern. What I love most about my home is that, and maybe this is the sort of Southern hospitality roots in me, but I love that people feel comfortable coming in here, that there's nothing too precious, there's nothing too fancy, but it does look pulled together, and it's thoughtful, and I just love having friends over and love having my family here, and my kids are now a little bit older and their friends come here too, and I just love having one of those just really comfortable, easy homes that anyone can come into. So let's head into the kitchen now. So designing a kitchen that was sort of the hub of the house was really important to me, and we purposely put it on the back side of the house because we wanted to really have an indoor-outdoor feel, which you'll see with these windows, these pocket windows, and we're always passing food and drinks back and forth out to the grill, out to the table outside. But and again, I think it's based on my southern roots. You're always showing up to someone's house, an uncle, an aunt, my grandma, and there's a pot of gumbo on, and just anyone walks in the door and there could be a meal made at any time. So, balancing family and work and commitments is a lot. I wish I cooked more than I do, but when I do cook, I love to do it. So I really wanted to make the kitchen really conducive to that. So we have multiple ovens because, again, family, holidays, lots going on. One of my favorite things to cook, especially when it becomes fall and we're a big football family. My son plays football in college. My husband played. We are all about fall, football, family, and chili. So a lot of times you'll see chili on the stove, and we do grill all the time. Again, California, we're outside the majority of the year, so we're always grilling outside. But I would say, especially this time of year, I usually have, on a Sunday, a pot of chili on, and everyone just sort of throughout the day, afternoon, kind of grabs it, and it's pretty casual. I also know that we can be messy. So I went with the Caesar stone countertops and sort of reserved the marble for the walls. I also didn't want a lot of upper cabinets, and so you'll see most of the walls are the tile, and then some open shelving here where we have breakfast bowls and my family gumbo bowls. I mentioned earlier in the dining room that one of my hostess tips is to have the food done ahead of time. And I have to say, my go-to for most meals when I'm entertaining is a Barefoot Contessa. And so I'm always reaching for sort of the Bible of her cookbooks. But I love this room. I love how much light it gets. We added a cupola So instead of like a skylight, again, sort of a nod to Nantucket and the East Coast, and this beautiful remains lighting fixture as well. Certainly my background in PR and marketing has helped me as an entrepreneur. I am always thinking about new and interesting ways to market the company, marketing my services, and I just think to have that marketing and PR background in any business is almost crucial. You're bootstrapping it a lot when you're starting out and you're starting your own company. So if you have a different skill set besides just decorating, it certainly helps. So why don't I take you outside to the patio? So I have weathered my fair share of East Coast winters. So I'm not gonna lie, 24 years in California, and I love the weather. It will be 89 degrees today. So you can imagine that we are entertaining outside through, early November. So oftentimes we'll choose to eat out here. It's actually warmer in the fall in the Bay Area than in the summer sometimes. So we'll be grilling, we'll be eating out here. The kids will be in the pool. It's really sort of our spot that we are the majority of the time. We love being out here. So if you're looking for my husband, this is where you'll find him 90% of the time. Either falling asleep, having a nap, watching TV, but this is, instead of the typical man cave like in our basement, this is his spot, which of course I join him out here as well, but he's always watching a football game or golf all the time. And really, again, this is an extension of our family room, and I may be inside watching something different than what he's watching out here, but we love being out in this space. And again, we're always back and forth between the house and the back patio. So let me take you to the family room now. So this is really the hub of the house. We are in here all the time. It sort of sits in the middle of the house. You walk in from the foyer. You're here. And so as you can see, and as I've said, lots of blues, lots of greens, but I really love the combination of sort of that chocolatey brown and blue, and really highlighted that in this space. So two of my sofas from my upholstery collection. This is the Lexington sofa. So I love when you're floating furniture in the middle of a room to have some sort of detail in the back like this paneling. A lot of the lines that I represent are featured in this room. So we've got Casa by PC, and so many of my lines really play well together with each other. So again, CW Stockwell, this floral goes beautifully with Casa by PC stripe and medallion, and the Marika Meyer rug, which I think is a showstopper. So one of my hostessing inspirations is a site, a woman called Mrs. Alice out of the UK, and she has dog beds, a lot of wicker, and you'll see wicker throughout the house. But I just fell in love with this dog bed, and I love the blue with the brown. As you can see, Raymond prefers the CW Stockwell chair, but I get a lot of inspiration from various hostesses and entertainers, and so I love when they have something that works in my space. This is also a room that is just filled with layers. I love collecting, and I have different surfaces, different side tables that I've collected over the years. I've got sort of this desk that I've turned into a little display of some of my favorites, phone that has my phone number from New Jersey growing up, artwork, collectibles, things I found in the Hamptons or by artisanal artists. And I'm always changing the surfaces and the coffee table and the console table, and all these things bring me joy and usually have a story behind them, and I feel really at home and at peace in this room. We've got Elizabeth Geisler, her water series is beautiful. We've got AJ Oshie over here. And then my good friend, Andy, who I've referenced earlier, she has the pieces in the stairwell. So if my husband is not out on the patio watching the Golf Channel or football, he's in here making a Moscow Mule. This is also kind of his domain, our bar area. So we did this beautiful sort of taupe marble, and the natural oak built in, we kept sort of natural. So, and yeah, this is where we do a lot of our drink mixing. So as you can see, this really is a great room. We have the family room combined with the bar, with our breakfast nook, obviously leads into the kitchen. And so again, we're here all the time. This is where our family meals are, although with 2 at college, we're down to 3 right now for family meals, but we're here most nights when my daughter's not at practice. And you know, we like our sports, so we'll be sitting here watching a game, and we really just wanted to make this a place that is really easy flow, easy to, someone could be in the family room, someone can be in here, and it's all sort of all together. For me, coming home and being surrounded by the things I love brings a sense of calm to me. And I'm as social as I am, and I love going to parties and being out. I love coming home. I love being with my family. I love cozying up on the sofa. And for me, being surrounded by beautiful things, things that mean something to me, that look beautiful, is really important to me. So I've always sort of made my own home a priority. So let's pop into our primary bedroom, which we, when we designed the house, we put it on the first floor. All the kids' bedrooms are upstairs, and the guest bedrooms in the basement. And we decided to sort of have our little sanctuary off the main area for ourselves. Welcome to the primary bedroom. This is our bed is something that I designed years ago when I had my design firm, and it's custom. It's attached to the wall with this sort of lilac arrowroot grass cloth wallpaper. Matuk bedding, which you'll find Raymond sleeping here most nights with us. But really, the very best part about this room is my new primary closet, which I just remodeled last year. So let me take you into it. So this is my new-ish primary closet. For about 10 years, we had really almost 2 separate but kind of connected closets, really dark, just not a great use of the space. And so we lived with that for about 10 years. So it was really important to me to create a space that I loved walking in every morning. I get ready at the vanity. I like having everything kind of closed off and just put away. A very clean look. I just went a little bit more subtle in here with my pattern and my color. I did this gray CW Stockwell wallpaper along with the bench seat. I have a vintage light fixture from First Dibs that I bought years ago. The hardware is a friend of mine, Hoffman Hardware. It's this brass hammered hardware. It's so beautiful. So again, everything just kind of has its place and put away. And I went for like grays and sort of a dusty pink in here for my vanity. And then this side of the closet is my favorite. My shoes and my handbags. I wanted these 2 things to be on display because they're some of my favorite items. So I love fashion. I love getting dressed up. I love putting, it's sort of like, you know, design and decor, a great outfit when it's put together, you know, can really just sort of complete everything. So it was important for me to sort of highlight some of the the items I've collected over the years. So because I am not quite 5'4", I do like my heels when I go out, and I love these Jimmy Choo platforms. So much so I have them in 3 colors. So I've got black velvet, I have brown suede, and I have this sort of teal velvet. So both of these will be great for the holidays, and I wear these in the fall all the time. So kind of went a little overboard on that, but I do love my shoes. So when fall hits, I go almost all brown in my wardrobe. It's kind of funny. But so I would say the handbags that I'm really carrying all the time is this new Prada that I just got that has a great crossbody strap. This Bottega I wear all the time, so it's basically paid for itself. Yeah, I just love, I sort of go for all the brown in the fall, sort of black in the winter, and then color and this Bottega gold. I love the Valentino, anything with a little sparkle. My tote bags for when I travel or lugging things between my showrooms. Yeah, I love my handbags. A home has soul when again, it feels lived in, and there's nothing too precious, and you know, you can sink into a sofa, you can pull up a chair, you can throw on the fire and a football game and grab a glass of wine and relax. And so all those pieces sort of add up to the soul. But the most important thing, honestly, is being surrounded by your family and creating this home that, again, I have kids in college now, that I want them to come home to, and I want them to feel like this is their favorite place to come back to. Let's pop into the master bathroom really quick. So with our primary bathroom getting so much light, I really wanted to focus on materiality in here, and the herringbone marble Carrera floors, the Carrera top, and then the custom detail on the cabinetry. Again, similar to my closet, I like to have everything sort of closed in there. There's drawers inside and lots of things stored away. But I love opening the door to the side yard in here when I'm getting ready, and just have that natural light. So I knew when I designed this bathroom that a key to my happy marriage would be having separate vanities and separate sinks. My husband is a minimalist and I'm a maximalist. So even the inside of his vanity looks very different than mine. So that was really important. And I recommend that for any happy marriage. So home to me is family through and through, and holidays, and, you know, football games, and relaxing, and just all being together. That is what home means to me.
Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Ariel Oken, and welcome to my home in New York. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
I'm an interior designer based in New York, and we are in my home in Westchester. We have lived in this house for a little over 3 years. We moved here at the height of COVID. We were living in the city. My older daughter was 6 months old, and COVID hit, and we came out to Westchester to stay with my in-laws for 2 weeks, and that turned into 7 months. And we ended up buying this house in May of 2020, and while we did work on it, we lived with my in-laws around the corner. And then we moved in, and this house actually was built by a young family 20 years ago at the time. And then they moved out and kept it as a rental property. So there were a bunch of people that had been through over the course of like 15 years who had rented the house. And so it really needed some love. And so we gave everything a fresh coat of paint. We wallpapered a lot of rooms, changed the architectural detailing in a lot of spaces, and just kind of gave it a facelift because it needed it. Welcome to our house. This is the foyer. This is the main entrance to the house, and this leads upstairs. The house is a center hall colonial style home, so you come in through the front door and you've got the main entertaining spaces on the right and left, and then in the back of house is the more family-centric rooms. I love our foyer because it reminds me of my house growing up, so all of this artwork leading up the stairs and up on the landing is from my house growing up. That my mom gave to me when we moved in. And I chose just a simple sisal runner with a chocolate border for going up the stairs because I have 2 young kids and a dog. So anything that's durable and easily replaceable is great. Come on over with me into the living room. This room is really where we entertain with friends. It's where we have cocktails before dinner. I will say with 2 young kids, it's not a highly trafficked room in the house, but it's a room that makes me really happy. And it's kind of filled with all of the things that I love from antique markets and things that my mom and my grandma gave me. And this is really more of a grown-up adult room in the house, but it's one that I get a lot of joy from. There's some things in this room that I really love. The main one is this faux tortoise painted antique cabinet. I got this at auction in Greenwich for $147. And we use it as a bar cabinet. And it has these little monkeys drinking and smoking on the inside, which I think is hysterical, and I love it. So we keep all of our wine and, well, really not wine. We keep like our whiskey and tequila and stuff in here. I like to have wine. My husband is a big whiskey person. So pick your poison. We have a really large book collection, and I am a total pack rat with interior design books, and I collect them from different eras and different designers, and even like interiors textbooks and things like that. So they're kind of all throughout the house, but this is where a lot of them live. And these I found at Circa Who in Palm Beach, which is a great resource for vintage rattan and bamboo pieces. And this I actually got on Etsy. It's from India and it's handmade. I get a ton of stuff on Etsy all the time. It's where we find some of the most unique pieces that we use at my firm. These pillows, I love like a faded chintz, and these have really taken nicely in the 3 years that we've been here. They've kind of mellowed out a little bit. And sometimes I put things on the reverse, like I'll take a chintz and put it on the reverse to make it look a little bit more faded. This table was vintage as well. These are really pretty Bunny Williams home lampshades, and we love anything of Bunny's always. These prints are also from the set from my house, so those are very special to me, and they're kind of all throughout my house. But they came from the house I grew up in, and when my mom sold our house in Philadelphia, she saved everything for me, which was very nice of her. And she kept it in a storage unit for 10 years until I actually moved into my own home, which I'm very grateful for. So these plates, I found a set for $5 on Etsy, which is incredible. They kind of came mismatched. So these were the only ones that matched size-wise. And then I do have a bunch of other sizes that are kind of like throughout the house. But these, I was looking and looking for the right place for them. And then when I got this mirror to put over the fireplace, I didn't think the scale was large enough. So I added the plates on either side to kind of widen how much was taking up, within the molding. And I love them. They make me really happy. And then I have a bunch of random, like this vase my mom got me. I'm very sentimental and kind of keep everything that my mom ever gives me, and my grandma. These dahlias are making me really happy. It's, the beginning of fall, and they're living their best life. So I'm really happy that we've got some fresh flowers in the house. I think that's something really nice that makes the house feel homey all the time. These are also things from my mom, all these little trinkets and stuff. They're kind of a mishmash, but they make me happy because they're from her and my grandma. One thing I love to do is make custom lampshades. I think it really can elevate a lamp in a very special way and makes a huge difference than using sort of like the random drum shade that comes with a typical lamp. So we almost always do custom lampshades. And I also love using a Suzani. This is another Etsy find. I love using a Suzani on the back of the sofa to add in a pop of texture and pattern, and to just kind of break up what else is on the sofa, especially when it's a big white sofa. It gives it some dimension. These slipper chairs I had recovered. They are from Wayfair. They were like $200, and I recovered them in a really beautiful Alexis Walter linen fabric. One other thing in this room that I love are these prints. This is a Rosecliff mansion in Newport, which is where my husband and I got married. And then these are in Watch Hill, where my husband and I go every year to celebrate our wedding anniversary. So those are special to me. I try to just gravitate toward things that I love when I'm thinking about designing for myself. I'm sort of like the cobbler who has no shoes, in the sense that rooms were not done for years until I finally could finish them. But I like to gravitate toward things where I feel like, oh, that's amazing. Whether it's like at auction or on First Dibs or Cherish. I'm kind of a bit of a pack rat, which I think a lot of designers are. But I kind of think less about overall style in the house and more just individual things that I really gravitate toward, because I think that's what makes it feel personal. Let me take you into the dining room now. This is our dining room. We didn't use it very much when we first moved into the house because it was COVID, so we weren't entertaining for like the first 2 years really that we lived in the house. But now that life is more normal, thankfully, we use it a lot. We use it for dinner, birthdays, holidays. We're actually hosting family tomorrow night for a holiday, and it's a room that I really love. The wallpaper in this room actually is from my collection with the Mural Source, and my collection with the Mural Source came about from me asking them if I could create a custom paper for my house. And then we kind of kicked off the collection from this paper here. The table is a vintage table that is an antique reproduction, so it's kind of meta in that sense. This is an antique Louis commode from my friend Paloma Contreras and her gorgeous shop down in Texas. And this piece is from the first show house that I ever did. I commissioned it from Dawn Michelle Wolfe for Holiday House in 2018. And it's a triptych set, but I didn't have enough wall space for all of them, so I just have one in here. But I really quite like the mix of more modern art with the chinoiserie wallpaper. These chairs were a vintage find. I got them on First Dibs, and I recovered them in a fabric cut strié velvet. This light is from my collection with Mitzi, and it's really special to me. So I feel so lucky to have it in my house. It's named the Gladwin Chandelier after the town that I grew up in, which is outside of Philadelphia. And it's just very cool to see product that we spent 2 years working on actually physically in someone's home, and especially in my own home. This is our china cabinet. We've got kind of an amalgamation of things in here from our wedding and things that my grandparents gave me. So our wedding china is Royal Copenhagen, which I can open up and show you. But my favorite thing is this little tea set, because I just think it's so dainty and pretty. And the most special thing to me in this cabinet are these brass candlesticks that I need to be very gentle with, but these were my great grandparents' candlesticks. And so I try not to use them that often, but I love that I have them. They are very special to me. And I kind of have a mix of like cut crystal glassware, some Murano glassware, My friend Annabelle used to have this great shop called Land of Belle, and we used to do a lot of glassware from her, and she closed, unfortunately, but these I love very much. And they are from her. This is part of my wedding china. It is Royal Copenhagen, the fluted half lace pattern, I think it's called. And I have a mix of this and the more dainty kind of floral pattern ones as well, which are in here. And these I love so much. They're just such a classic pattern, and I just think they're so pretty. So we have a bunch of that stuff in here. And now that we entertain more, we actually are often in this room a lot, which is really nice. And this cabinet is a vintage piece that was remade and lacquered by a company called the Resplendent Crow. They were also an Etsy find. And this was like a yellowy kind of wood material, and we sanded it down and lacquered it in this green to kind of tie together the rest of the scheme in the dining room. And then the inside is Atmospheric by Sherwin-Williams, I believe. And it's a really nice powdery blue. So there's a lot of blue and green in this room, if you can sense a theme. The thing that I love most about my home is that I think it really feels like us. Every room has, whether it's a fabric or a piece of furniture or something my kids made, I think it really is a reflection of my husband and I and my kids and our taste and the stage of life that we're in also. And so I think that's the thing that makes me the happiest about our house, is that it feels very much like us. This is our sunroom. We use it all the time, even in the fall when it's chilly. This is Charlie's favorite room. He loves looking at the animals, the chipmunks and the squirrels in the trees. It's like his favorite spot. When we moved into this house, there was nothing in this room. They did not use it. It was completely empty and bare, which is very sad. And it was the room that I was most excited about. So we kind of have a mix of stuff in here. Again, this chair is from Etsy. And it's actually from the Ukraine. It was handmade. This table is from Mainly Baskets Home. And I love kind of having a lot of planters and different things in here, like some made in here ferns and stuff in terracotta pots. And we use this room to entertain. We use this room recently over Labor Day weekend. We had a couple families over and we grilled outside, and then I brought a little table in and put a tablecloth on it, and we had like 8 kids in here plus adults, and we moved some of the furniture outside, and it was just really nice to eat in here. It's a very peaceful, quiet room, so I'll often come down and work here on the sofa when I'm not in the office, and just work from here. This coffee table I love. It's actually from my in-laws. It was at their beach house for a long time, and when they sold it, they kind of had it in storage in their basement, and then they gave it to us, and it makes me happy to have something from a place that they loved so much in our house. We'll have friends over for drinks down here sometimes, so I'll set out a tray and some glassware. This candelabra I love. It's from my friend Audrey's shop in Brooklyn. It's called the Six Bells, and it's a vintage piece that she found. She has a great eye. And I love these little wicker pedestals that I have in the space. They just kind of draw the eye up, and they add height. And Anthony, who we work with often, Anthony Amiano, does gorgeous florals, and he put some really beautiful florals in this urn for us today. I love also this little nook right here. I will sometimes come down here and have tea in the morning and sit there and check my emails once the kids are off to school. And I really just love this room for the way that it has all the garden elements in it. It's just such a calming space, and it gets good natural light, so all the potted stuff lives nicely down here, and it's just a happy room that I love. I love this wicker chaise. It's from Mainly Baskets Home, which is a vendor that I love because you can pick the color of the wicker. And we did a performance fabric Sister Parish on here, and this is Charlie's usual napping spot when he gets tired of doing very active animal searching on the sofa. So he kind of goes between the two of them, but I'll also sit here and read, or I'll bring my laptop down here and work in this room here or there or over there. But I use this room a lot. I think the thing that gives a home its soul is two things. I think it's a combination of antique and vintage pieces that have lived a life. I think when you have all new furniture, the patina just isn't there, and it can feel a little big box and like it was just put down a second ago. And I think the nicks and the patina and, you know, looking like it's been sitting in the sun is what makes a piece of furniture or a house in general feel like it has character and that you've been there for a while. And then again, I think it's those like quirky, idiosyncratic things that you're collecting, whether it's a really great book collection or some weird piece of pottery that you found at a flea market, or something your kids made you that you had framed. I think that is what gives a house its soul, and collections. Books and baskets and pottery, things like that, that really fill up the space and also give a sense of who you are as a person and what it is that you like in your space. This is our kitchen. It's off of the dining room, and it's a space that we spend a ton of time in. I love to cook, and so does my husband. So we're always kind of doing something in here. My husband actually got a smoker that he's obsessed with. So we've been doing all kinds of stuff over the summer, barbecuing and grilling and stuff. So this is the most used room in our home. I collect Le Creuset cookware that I use all the time. And one of the things that I really loved about this house was that the kitchen is sort of the heart of the home, and it goes open concept, which I don't usually love, but for kids in this purpose, it was really nice for us, into the family room and the breakfast nook. So this space right here into the family room and the breakfast nook is where we spend all of our time. I like to use lemons and limes and things like that on the island as a substitute for florals, but also we do use them. And I have a big collection of cookbooks, and my favorite cookbook author is Julia Turshen, and I have a million of her cookbooks. She has 3 cookbooks, and then I have a million of the Barefoot Contessa cookbooks that I love. I love Ina Garten. And then I've got my mugs. I have a big collection of Emma Bridgewater that my mother-in-law got me turned on to, that I love, and some spongeware and glassware and more Le Creuset, which I love. Yeah, and we keep kind of, the counters are usually a little bit messier than this right now. And we keep the girls' art up and kind of use it as like a little gallery for them. So when they come home from school and they have something that they're really proud of, we stick it up on the fridge. I definitely did not have a traditional path into design. I went to college for journalism, and then I went to grad school for communications with a track focus on public affairs. So I was working on political campaigns and then in education. Definitely did not ever consider interior design as a career. And it was something I always did kind of like to relax. Like I was always on Pinterest and looking at shelter magazines, and I always collected interior design books even when I was young. Like a young kid, before I could even drive, my mom would take me to Barnes & Noble, and I would sit and pore over all the coffee table books and look at them sitting on the floor. But when I moved to New York, a lot of friends would ask me, like they would come to my apartment and they would ask me if I could help them with theirs. And that kind of snowballed, and I kind of quickly realized after helping some friends in my early 20s with their apartments that it was something that I loved. And a light bulb kind of clicked, and I realized that it was something that I could do for a career. And so I took clients on nights and weekends for almost 3 years while I stayed at my day job, until I built a book of business big enough where I could leave and do this full time. And I feel so lucky that I get to do this every day. I love my job. so much, and I love the clients that we work with, and I just really feel so grateful that I get to do something that I truly am extremely passionate about every day. And then this is our family room, and we spend all of our time in this room. We watch TV in here, the girls play in here. Usually there is a pack and play in here, which I removed because that is not pretty. This room is really my favorite room because it's beautiful, but it's also so functional. Sofa upholstery is great for kids because they're not like messing it up all the time. These rattan chairs are from Circa Who in Palm Beach, and they just withstand everything. My daughter actually took a marker and colored on them the other day, and they just like wiped right off. This coffee table is from my furniture collection. I added this upholstered top to it that is Sister Parish's Dolly fabric. And these Gracie panels were the first thing that we bought when we moved into this house, and they were my birthday present when I turned 30, and they were the only thing I wanted for this house. I love them. They're really special to me. And Gracie made them custom with like little details in it. Like my girl's initials are kind of in there. I use woven baskets everywhere in the house, and this is filled with my kids' toys, but I put the blankets on top so you can't see that their stuff is on the bottom there. And that's a nice little hack for people who are looking to hide some unseemly things like kids' toys. And then we just have more of my book collection here. I have a ton of interior design books, and I love to collect blue and white china. And this little tiny painting is very special to me. We got it when we went to Watch Hill for our first wedding anniversary, and I got it in a little antique shop down there. And a lot of my little tchotchkes are like from my mom or from me just kind of collecting stuff on Etsy or eBay even. And I love live auctioneers. It's a great place to find amazing like sets of china and things like that you could get for a steal on live auctioneers. So the rugs in this room, the large one is a woven jute that's tightly woven. And then I layered a kalim on top, which is a trick that we do often. I love working with sisal in general with kids and pets in high traffic areas because they can really take a beating and they're pretty inexpensive. So you could get a really large sisal for not very much, and then you can get a smaller kalim with a beautiful color or a beautiful pattern, and you can really create like a larger carpeted space by doing that. And the layering effect, I think, also is nice because you get the texture and the warmth from the brown of the sisal, but when you layer a kalim on top, you can add in color and kind of tie in the rest of the palette that way. So that's a great trick that I love in terms of layering rugs. It's something that we do in every project. I also really love these pillows from Schumacher. These are from Mark Sykes's collection, and these are from Bear Grenny's, and I just think they're really beautiful and kind of make the space. I mean, they play so nicely with the Gracie panels, and they make me happy. I love these lamps. They're from Corey Damon Jenkins' collection with Hudson Valley Lighting. I don't know if they make them anymore, but they're so beautiful, and I love the emerald color of them. And I made these custom Sister Parish fabric box-pleated lampshades for them. And then we've got more, rattan furniture in here. It's obviously something that I really love, but it's also incredibly durable. I mean, my kids can climb on this and it's, wipes off and it's fine. So this is a little area that I love. And I love the way that the rattan and the bamboo with the sisal kind of adds so much texture to a space that otherwise would feel kind of flat without it. This is our breakfast nook. The girls and I and my husband spend so much time here. This is where we eat dinner. This is where we eat breakfast. Unless we're hosting people, this is where we are eating. My girls also do art projects here. I have recovered these Sister Parish cushions many a time from chocolate stains and marker stains, but they are treated, which is nice. They can take a beating. These plates I really love. I got them at auction also, and they're just really beautiful. They're from an Italian ceramicist, and this lithograph is also from my house growing up that my mom gave me when we moved in. And another thing in here, because these windows are so big. They're kind of like the anchor of this corner of the space. So I really wanted to highlight the height here. It's a 10-foot ceiling. So mounting the woven wood Romans as an outside mount at the top of the ceiling really draws your eye up. And then putting the hardware above it with the drapery panels on either side gives the illusion that the ceiling is even taller than it is, and it kind of adds texture with the woven woods. And then you get a tie-in to the rest of the fabrics with the trim on the window treatment. So that's just a little window trick. These wicker chairs are really, really easy to clean. Again, like I think wicker and rattan are kind of the most kid-friendly materials that you can use. We wipe pasta sauce off of these all the time. We tied in some of the pillows from the family room just so that these two spaces speak to each other almost as if they're one, because they are so close to each other. And this is a little spongeware vase that I got on Etsy. I get everything on Etsy. I take career calls often from people who are wondering how they can pivot from another career into design. And I often tell them, I don't necessarily think going back to school is necessary, but I do think you need CAD skills and the technical skills, because it's very hard to start at a firm now without that. And I always tell people that you really should intern and get experience at a firm and really see how the inner workings are. How do you go to the D&D? How do you take something out on memo? What does it really look like? Because a lot of times I think people think, oh, it's so glamorous, you're picking fabrics all day. And yes, that's part of it, but 90% of the job is really logistics and psychology. So I think oftentimes I'll tell people intern and take a CAD course. NYSET has a great basics interior design certificate program that a lot of people will do when they're pivoting, and Parsons does also. And I think those two things are really great to kind of getting you off the ground. And then also email people in the industry who you admire and ask them to go for coffee, or ask if you could shadow them for a day. We've had plenty of people come shadow us for a day at the D&D or on a photo shoot. So I think those are some things that are really helpful when you're looking to pivot into interior design. This is our mudroom. This is the main artery of our house. This is how we get in and out of the house all the time. And this is how the majority of our friends come in through the house. So it's usually much messier than this. But my girls put their backpacks here. We have this great cushion and a print from Schumacher that I love. And the paint color in here, which we get asked all the time, is Breakfast Room Green from Farrow & Ball. And this used to be a console for my furniture collection here, but we moved it because I needed more shoe storage. So these push open, and then all my girls' shoes are in here. It's lots of baby shoes, and then our shoes are in here. The wall covering in here is the closet stripe from Farrow & Ball. And these lamps I got from the Newport Shade Company, and then these are from Moi lamp shades. They have the best lamp shades. We love them. And then these are vintage botanical prints that came in a set that I put in here. And the floor in this room was original. I didn't change it. I kind of love how it's just perfect for kids and mess and dirt and all that. And I love my little wicker doggy guy. He's my favorite. He was in a big photo shoot of our house that was in House Beautiful years ago, and everybody loved him. He just lives here. I love this little catch-all. It's by Christopher Spitzmiller, and we buy almost all of our lamps for projects from him. So it's very special to me, and he's just such an incredibly talented ceramicist. And the lamp is from Serena and Lily. And again, more rattan, my favorite. Let me show you our bedroom upstairs. Come on. Charlie. Come on. Good boy. This is our bedroom. And I really wanted this space to be very calming and neutral, just really serene, because I look at a lot of pattern and color and texture all day for work. So even though I love pattern, I wanted this to kind of be a bit tone on tone. So we did this kind of like sky blue grass cloth paper on the walls, and I have a lot of pattern in here in the form of different textiles, but it's all kind of in the same color palette, which makes it a bit more subdued. So we've got a bunch of different textiles on the bed, and I really love these Matuk chain link sheets. We have our monogram on them, which I love, and the bed and the lampshade fabric match. They're both from Serena & Lily, and it's a fabric that I really love. It's their Priano linen, which is very beautiful. All of the furniture in this room, for the most part, is Serena & Lily, and then the textiles and such are vintage. This bedspread is also from Etsy, and I swear I am not being sponsored by Etsy. I just really love shopping on there. Charlie just loves to sit here all day. He takes naps in our bed. He sleeps in bed with us. I mean, he really is the king of the house. When we first got him, we had a queen size bed. We didn't have kids yet, and we were living in the city, and we realized pretty quickly that he was going to be sleeping in between us, and so we got a king size bed, and he still takes up the whole bed anyway because he sleeps horizontally in between us. Home means to me wherever my family is. I know that's probably not an interior design related answer, but we could be traveling or wherever we are, but as long as I'm with my family, I feel like that's home for me. Thanks so much for visiting Homeworthy. It's been fun. Bye.
Hi, my name is Jonathan. Welcome to my house in Carmel-valley. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
My name is Jonathan Rackman. I'm an interior designer, and you can call me an author too if you want to. We are at our, what I call humble hut. It's our country home in Carmel-valley, and it is a ranch-style house that we've renovated, my husband and I, during the pandemic. The style is, for me, that's truly what you see is what you get, and this is how we live our life. It's a reflection of our relationship and collection of our memorabilia from our travels collection, as well as family heirlooms and sentimental items that we don't want to get rid of yet. In fact, my husband calls me, this is the Hoarder Chateau. So it was during the pandemic. We used to live in the Bay Area, and I had this nightmare of, oh my God, I'm going to die in this high-rise, suburban, and looking at a parking lot. We used to live in Carmel, downtown Carmel, in the weekends, so we love this area. And I wanted to go back to just having more privacy, more land. I miss the backyard and front yard. So anyway, we made an offer of a house in Monterey, and we didn't get it, thankfully. And my husband's constantly looking on online, and then he saw, oh, there's this, look at this charming home. I mean, it's, it's in the country, and we see there's quite, a lot of oak trees and land. So I drove right away on my own. As soon as I walked in or get out of my car, I saw a pile of firewood, and that's one check. That's like, we love it. And the second thing, I just walked around outside and we saw the view, and I instantly fell in love with it. I FaceTimed with my husband. And then as soon as I walked in, we know this house wasn't perfect. We call it the choo-choo train house because it's one long house. It's like from one end to the other, it'll take you a few minutes most probably. But as soon as I look at this baby right here, wood fire stove insert, I just, this is it. We made an offer the afternoon of, and we closed within 8 days. So it was truly love at first sight. I always tell people how much I love this house. I love my house. I love my house. And you know, for some people, this is nothing. This is just like a ranch-style house from 1970s. But this house is not perfect, but it is perfect for us. We've been together for 30 years. What inspired us is my mom and dad. I call them the Loro Blogno. Loro Blogno means the inseparable couple. They were together for 65 years, almost 66 years. My dad actually just passed away. When I say just, it's been 16 months. So it's still raw, and they inspire me. Their love for each other inspire me. How they love us and accepted my husband just as one of their son or their son-in-laws. But also where I was born in Indonesia, and my travel as far as where I live in Switzerland and in France in my past, the whole East-West thing, just experiences in life inspire me. So welcome to what I personally call the great room. My husband was being ironic and always sarcastic. That's his sense of humor, and he always calls it the Grand Chateau, which is funny because there's nothing chateau-ish about it, about this room. So what do I want to point out about this room? First of all, I love the insert stove, the stove insert for the fireplace. This is the heart of the home. I found this and it's just perfect. And it always looks like it's smiling. This is where my husband and I, on cold days, always just sit down here, have our cocktails, or when we have guests, that's where we have them over. And what I also want to point out is this amazing pattern. It is a pattern from my childhood memory, and that's how I put my stamp in the house, one way of doing it. It's what every child in Indonesia was taught to do pattern when we had our arts class and drawings. And what's interesting is this last trip, because we live both in Bali and here, we went to Java to get a reading based on our Javanese market calendar. And we learned, and I didn't know this before all my life, that based on my husband's birthday, that is his pattern in the Javanese, what they call Prambon calendar. And guess what I found right here? It is amazing. A batik that also has his pattern, and the color is amazing. And for me, that's just serendipity in design. The sofa and the chairs I got from Cherish, one of my favorites. And Anna is fabulous, if you know Anna Brockway. But this sofa and chairs we refurbish. We add proper paddings and whatever needs to be upgraded, and then cover it. And this is one of my favorite fabrics from Schumacher, and my husband decided to have this colorways, and I'm so proud of him. This chairs, I love, again, it was during the pandemic, I love vintage items, I don't want to buy new stuff, so I found it on Cherish, but I want to engage my husband, because this is also his house, to choose the color scheme, what makes him happy. And so the same way I work with my clients, I want to make sure that they like it, they enjoy it, and it is their home. So I engaged my husband as to what color scheme he wanted. Originally, actually, believe it or not, I'm not known to be a neutral person, but this house called for some neutrality or a neutral scheme. But I was so surprised when he picked out broader colors. This is my own design book that was just published by Flammarion recently, and the cover is done by de Gournay. My memory at the Carlisle, that's the only hotel I ever stayed in New York. And you see more books and books and books. Givenchy is right there. There's Audrey Hepburn also. And some, that's my late mother-in-law, Stephen's mom. And our old, one of the first few dates we had was probably, or first few years of our relationship in Carmel. So this is a very, very important part of the world for us. Coming here to the dining table and dining chairs. The dining table I found in Bali, but it's from Java. It's a Javanese Dutch colonial style. The legs are beautiful. and a marble top. And it always reminds me of my grandma because when we used to go to cafes or restaurants with my parents and my grandma and my family, these are sort of the style of tables that we found in Java, all over Java. I have an amazing story about these chairs, this dining room chairs. I have a set of 8. They're actually gifted to us by a very generous couple, clients of mine. I used to be their florist. I used to go into their home that was designed by Julia Morgans in San Francisco. And later I became their interior designer. And at some point, they moved to Idaho and they didn't need the chairs anymore because the house they wanted was completely different style from the one in San Francisco. These chairs were actually acquired by them at Christie's Monaco, I believe, and they used to be owned by Karl Lagerfeld. How amazing is that? And the fabric is made from horsehair. Love the details and the hooves. I believe this is from the 1800s. I have the exact provenance information, but that's pretty much what I can tell you right now, but it's still in the original condition. The fabric's been changed, by the way, but I love how they go, just the perfect curve that goes with my dining table here. Moving on to the window treatment. This fabric, actually it's called Andy from the Sisters collection that I designed for a company called Ellis Dunn. It's a woman-owned small boutique fabric company. Mary, my dear friend who owns Ellis Dunn, asked me to design their first pattern collection. They used to only have like grounds and plain neutral fabrics. So this is inspired by a set of women that I admire. So I love strong women. I wouldn't be here without women. And I was raised by a lot of women in my life, and I named this after one of my friends. I believe this is iris linen that they printed, but has a little metallic. I love the chartreuse. I love the French gray, so the combination works really well. And the trim, I believe, is Schumacher. I'd better confirm that. I think it is, but I love the embroidery, and it just works perfectly with my Schumacher chairs. And this French daybed is where I actually lounge when I have cocktails by myself while my husband is cooking for me. First of all, I want to talk about this Art Deco style furniture that I actually found in California that's been refinished, and I put in my favorite elephants, doorknobs that's given from our fairy godson, Sean. But this furniture was made in my mom's hometown in East Java. So just by chance, I found this, and when I heard the origins of this furniture, I just fell in love with it. Because that's the thing about me. When I select things, especially for myself, they have to speak to me in a sentimental or romantic way. And I love finding furniture that was made in my mom's hometown, but I found it in California. I love bust. They just, to me, they're the classic elements, but I'm obsessed with them. And this is only partial collection here. I have 10,000 square feet warehouse that I store all my stuff, and I have more busts in the office in the warehouse. The mirror I found with Judith, my general manager, who's like my sister, in Pamplona, right before the pandemic. It's maybe one of the oldest thing that I own here. It's from France. I believe it's from 17 or 1800. The same with the barometer that actually I got from a dealer in San Francisco, Antiques Art and Exchange, one of my favorites, Howard and Keith, the best. I've known them for decades. What else can I tell you here? Our wedding picture, when I took his picture while he was being taken a picture of by a photographer, his younger picture, and here you must wonder what this is all about. I like to create stories, and one of my host moms is from Italy, and this map of Rome is over 200 years, and I just create like sort of my own family, my found family, and I love intaglios. What a gorgeous man, look at that, and just how people used to dress. This is also so cute, a boy in a cape. And this is also, maybe this is the oldest art or item that I own. It's from the 1600. Look at how, in a way, it's very, very crude, very, just very simple. And this, two things. First, I'm obsessed with out of Africa, but these are not African elephants. These are our adopted Sumatran elephants that we support in a sanctuary in Sumatra, and when they were babies. So if you later on you'll see throughout the house, you will see I have lots and lots of elephant figurines and sculptures from this tiny to this big. Oh, there's one of them. What else can I tell you? This is from an English train station, I believe also from the 1800s. So we just put candles up there. Another Louis Philippe old mirrors that I found also in Spain. This or two are Balinese temples artifact that I found and ship them here. I just found this 1845 Victorian, either a child's or a little lady's chair, perfect for my footstool or just when I work with the fireplace. Let's turn around here and look at this. I call this my Balinese wall. Everything from here is from Bali. The art that I collected, with the exception of this two, I found this in Carmel-valley actually. But the color scheme works. I love this. I have a lot of memories and stories about each one of them. The rice paddy farmer makes me just think of my hometown and my home country where I grew up. These two were at the Aman resorts done by orphans that we supported. They are mute and deaf orphans that's raised by an orphanage that we support, as well as they were our 20th anniversary, my generous clients. They gifted us a trip as our 20th anniversary, which was 10 years ago. A trip to Amandari. If you don't know the Aman resorts, you should check it out. We are a bit of an Aman junkie. There are about only 28 or 30 in the world, and we've been to maybe half. Ed Tuttle was the famous architect and designer, and unfortunately he passed away, and I wrote about him actually in one of my lifestyle journal called Di Sini Di Sana. But so we purchased this in their names, but we love them and we kept them. And it's interesting because this was both painted by two teenager boys, and he was at the time a dancer, or they both were dancers as part of just cultural education, and just culturally that's what they do. They raise everybody to be dancers or musicians. And because they're orphans, one of them told me that he titled this Mother and Daughter, and just broke my heart, and just very, very important and sentimental to us. And just we love to support orphans or people, children who are in needs, or people with disabilities. And his best friend painted next to him just the opposite of the mood of this. It's very happy and very whimsical. The rest are from local artists in Bali. This is by the same artist that I found at the Oberoi. I can't remember his name. It's written somewhere here, Nyoman Armadi. But just very intricate and just local scenery. This is a sentimental one because this I purchased as I was holding my mom's hand, walking for a brunch after our oldest fairy godson got married at the Four Seasons Jimbaran in Bali. And we're just walking in hands, and the artist in residence was actually painting this. And I asked him, oh my gosh, what is this title? As he was painting, and he said, Playing with Mother. I was just like, what? I was sobbing, and I had to have it, and I carried it myself. And my husband chose this hand-carved mask, traditional mask from Bali that's gilded. And ever since, I don't know how long, we've had them, maybe over 20 years. The entry. Gosh, where do I start? A pub table, 1700 from England, that has the original leather top embossed with heavy ironwork at the bottom. My elephants, more elephants. This is where we put our keys and hats and stuff, and just a collection of paintings and portraiture. One is gifted from our dear friend's mom, who's no longer with us. She was a painter. The rest I found, I just fell in love with her. These are the reproduction of a photograph of Lady Rose that she gave us permission to use during my decorator showcase in 2019 in San Francisco. I used the wallpaper the Gournay made after Lady Rose. She is the Marchioness of Houghton or Norfolk in England. And she found a scroll of unused wallpaper in the attic from, I believe, 200 years ago. So the Gournay did the copy or the reproduction, hand-painted, everything's done the traditional way. And I was the first to use that pattern, the Houghton Hall pattern, in my showcase. So I just love her. She was a model. She's gorgeous. She is one of my muses, and just works perfectly here. Our collection of canes. This is actually Stephen's grandpa, and later used by his late dad, and most probably someday it'll be ours. But I just love all these different umbrellas and canes. Another Gournay. I'm obsessed with the Gournay umbrella. But look at the elephant, isn't that cool? During the renovation, which almost took a year, we actually lived in the house. It was during the pandemic. We just moved from room to room to room. My husband essentially almost divorced me at the end. And like the last week, it was his push. He said, and I'll go back to what we did. He said, if you're not done by this week, I'm moving into the hotel down the hill. So we actually did everything from the hardwood floor, all the windows and the doors, interior and exterior. We basically gutted the house with the exception of this room because we love the beams, we love the natural wood. All of this we didn't touch, but I had an artist hand painted this pattern. The kitchen, we kept the cabinetry, but we did the countertops. We got a new, that itself was a nightmare. A smeg, it was a cute, it's a cute stove, cute color, but they sent us the wrong size. So imagine after waiting for 3 months for the stove to arrive, they sent a bigger size, so we have to wait for another 3 months. What I want to point out here is this amazing antique Chinese fishing basket. I turned them into pendants. And that's just how I like things. You know, we don't have a perfect kitchen. It is how we found it, the layout. We redid the cabinetry, the glass cabinet, the countertops from Da Vinci marble. Love the stove that gave me a lot of trouble because it was during the pandemic. We waited for 3 months, smeg. We love the color. Again, I repeated the hand-painted pattern there on the backsplash under the hood. We love the window. This is very Carmel-valley where we could put planters and oil lamp. Sometimes we have power outage here and we use the oil lamps. I love this French pot rack that I found, and the color is perfect, and everything else just either my fondue pot that we used last night and my husband's antique copper collections. By the way, you've noticed this most probably. Not only it matches my interior here, but this is my late dad's favorite ring that he wore. He had a lot of collections, but this was one of his favorites, so I'm wearing it. I never took it off. So here's our hallway, and as I said earlier, this house is not perfect, but it's perfect for us. This is the entry door, so there is not really a reception area. We did think about adding an outdoor porch, but this is good enough for us. It works. This hallway used to have a laminate floor, and now we have put in French pavers, outdoor pavers that I use indoor, again from Da Vinci marble. All my husband collection of paintings he's collected. Before I met him, one was done by this lady who had like health issues. And she sold these paintings so she could have enough medical funds. And my husband's super sweet and he wanted to support her. Instead of putting crown molding, I had an artist hand painted the fretwork. And I found this corbels, an antique corbels that has similar patterns. They're not part of the house, but I just added them. I love adding things, fun objects, artifacts that go with my aesthetic or, you know, what I feel good about. I also found this tiny little Greek key that has this is the inspiration color for the door. It's not sweet. Benjamin Moore, I'll find you what the color is. I think forest something. All right, but also in this hallway, besides painting all that, check this out. Here we go, Schumacher trim with Ellis Dunn fabrics. The trim has the identical pattern, and this is also the same fabrics, the gorgeous, gorgeous Irish linen ground that I designed pattern for Ellis Dunn. Laundry, which I'm not going to show you, that's our dirty laundry, literally. And this cabinet wasn't here. There was like this really funky, totally cottage farm style that's rickety and has like a chicken wire mesh, and it wasn't functional. I built this for 2 reasons, 3. 1, I need the storage. 2, I have a collection. Some people call me Imelda. I have collections over 200 pair of shoes, and these 2 cabinets house part of it. The top part is my memorabilia and old photographs that I organize here. There's a medicine cabinet up on top. I'm not gonna open it, but the linens looks pretty decent. There you go. You can see that. And I'll just show you a real quick collection of the shoes, partially. And candles. Okay, and I have spaced it just right so it can house my, I believe this is from Sumba, an antique carving. I don't have a specific style, but one thing I know, the title of my book is, I can see it from here, it's called Currently Classic. That is the formal style. What I like about my style is typically it's always classic. You can't pinpoint what period, or I don't follow the trends. I don't, I don't like when I see a style, oh yeah, we designed that in 1985 or 1990s or mid-century or all Art Deco. I like the house to reflect the style of the owners, not my style. Of course, I'm the designer. I will guide them through the process, and I will always tell them what works, what doesn't work, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But typically, if you have to classify one style, it is my style. It's currently classic. It's always classic. It's always current. We are in 2024. We don't want a house that looks like a museum. We don't want a period house. I want it to be comfortable for the owner. And I've also been dubbed as the master of mixing the East and the West, because I was born in the East, but I grew up and live in the West, and now I'm actually splitting my time. We call ourselves the Balifornians, so we live part-time in California, part-time in Bali, so we go back and forth. But all the interiors and the design and the decorations is a combination of what we've collected throughout our life, be it from our travel, from our family, and from our anniversary, gifts, whatever it is. I don't like a designed home, period, anyway, personally. I don't like to go into a house like, oh yes, this is designed by such and such, or that whole contrived matchy-matchy, or like, I know some people are super symmetrical. I have clients who go crazy if I do something that's non-symmetrical. If I put this chair here and the other chair looks different, or a different style of chair, that would just drive her crazy. She likes 2 commodes, and I will respect that. But as far as for my own house, I don't try to design it. I design from the heart, and that's my style. What feels good to me, what looks good, and what makes my husband happy, that's my style. This is my pattern room. I'm an island boy at heart, no matter where I go. So the island, when I can't find an island or tropical things, I created my own. So this room is inspired by my home country, Indonesia, Bali, Java, where my parents are from. So the wallpaper is Thibaut, including the one in the ceiling. The copper caning work is from Bali. That's handmade. The vanity is one of my favorite furniture in the house. It's an old antique commode from Java that I converted into vanity. The top marble is original. We did a cutout for the waterworks sink, but we added this shelving marble. But everything else is original, including the beveled mirror. I want to just point out something to you about Waterworks Live finish here. This is one of my favorite fixtures. A lot of people mind, they want that pristine brass look. I actually don't mind it at all. I love the patina. It just continues to patina as we use them. And that's just, for me, that's real life. And I love antiques, so why not? And I'm not one of those designers who like matchy-matchy, who love matchy-matchy. I mix, this is all around bronze, there's brass, and there's white finishes. The tile is also from Da Vinci, but it is inspired by the island life. There's a beautiful antique Venetian mirror that's in the shape of pineapple. Pineapple is a sign of a symbol of hospitality, so I love it. And this is where my guests go to use the powder room. So welcome to your room, because if you're staying with me, this would be your room. The first thing I want to point out is these two things. One is the wallpaper, which is Thibaut. I like to give my client options. In this case, my husband is my client. And he chose this Thibaut wallpaper for the color scheme, the pattern, everything about it he loved. But lo and behold, when we were moving, I found this batik hand-painted fabric that he bought the first time, one of the first trip he went to Indonesia, maybe in 1995. And I cannot believe how they just complement each other almost perfectly. Not almost, to me it's perfectly. These two cocks, roosters, we bought them because they're cheesy mid-century things that reminded my husband Steve of his own identical ones when they grew up, but they're not the original. Anyway, again, I like to create a story in every room. So, but some stories truly are real. One of them is that. But another thing I want to point out is this duvet cover. It's an antique fabric that I found from France, but it's made by Judith. Judith is my general manager that you know, who's like part of the family, like my sister. And we didn't have enough fabric for the other side, and we got this fabric from Otis Textile. The rest, just things I found. This is a gift again from a different client. Can you imagine? This used to be a pillow for the Chinese from over 100 or 200 years ago, a woven hard pillow. That's how people used to sleep. This is hand knitted and given to us by, we call her Aunt Loretta, who just passed away last year. Aunt Loretta is the aunt of my dear, dear friend who's like family, Bob. And we call this room Bob's room or Judith's room, depending who spent the night here. But this means so much to us. And she was ahead of her time. When people used to look at us funny just because we're two men, she just simply loved us and embraced us. And this is her gift from many, many years ago. The bed, I had to fight my husband and the dresser. He loved the set. It used to be our bed in our place in the Bay Area, but he refused to give them away or sell them. So I would have had a upholstered bed, but he loved this set, so I have to compromise, right? A good compromise. The chest, the cedar chest inside is lined with cedar, was commissioned by my late father-in-law, Stephen's father. And now it has all my sweaters and Stephen's, some, I mean not all, but some. And this top part, the antique treasure English treasure box. This is where I house all my, not all, some part of my dad's belongings and memorabilia, his old wallets, letters, pictures, handkerchiefs. So after they both passed away, this is where we keep our dad's memory. Same thing with this silly. It's nothing fancy. It's actually maybe from the 50s or 60s side table. This belongs to Steven's family. So we kept it. I love chinoiserie, and look at, more is never enough. This, I believe it's Decor de Paris. If I'm wrong, forgive me. It might be Samuel and Sons. No, this is Decor de Paris. This is Samuel and Sons, I believe. And the lamp was made from an antique tea canister that I found and converted into a lamp. Besides being a guest room, this is also my dressing room or my closet in this house. So I'm not going to open that nightmare, what's the inside, but this is where I dress. So mirrors everywhere. One of my most valuable, well, because I am crazy and sentimental, is this chair. It's been reupholstered with beautiful linen, but it's one of the oldest chairs we own, also from the 1800s. George III from Scotland. I know the dealer. She used to live there, but she's now in Carmel. I have another one in different shape and fabric in my primary bedroom. But check out this. I love elephants, and check out this antique little baby. How she or he's all beat up, but I love it. Pictures of our friends, loved ones, fairy godchildren. They all house in this room. Books and books, some more books. Both his and mine. This is a beautiful, beautiful French gilded mirror that I found. So I would dress here, get ready and stuff. And this photograph is crazy. I never really had proper photograph of my grandma and grandpa. So in a way, they are not my grandma and grandpa. They're complete strangers. My dear friend found this and give it to me, and her friend actually was the one actually found it in a town that's not too far from my grandpa and grandma's village, from Yogyakarta. And they live, Yogyakarta is a famous town because it's near one of the 8 wonders of the world, Borobudur Temple. And that's where my grandparents are from, not too far from there. And for me, they're just my adopted grandparents. At some point, I turned it into an artwork on a plexi, and I call it Eternity's Too Short, Eternity's Not Long Enough. I'd like to imagine that somehow they're still together. Judith also did this, did all the treatment. She helped me with projects sometimes. As general manager or project manager, she's also very, very crafty. What I love about this house, as I mentioned earlier, all the French doors, and every room, almost every room has this doors that you can open and look at the outdoor, and sometimes guests could just have coffee or just hang out and have some peaceful time. I have to point out the fabric again. It's from Ellis Dunn. This is actually the Belgian linens that I love so much. I love the thickness, and it has grove grains that's sewn into this fabric as a pattern, as part of the sister collections also. Alrighty. Next, I'm going to take you to the mystery or the mysterious bathroom that used to be, and it used to relate to this room where this bookshelf is now. There used to be a door here, and I will tell you more about that bathroom, which is now our primary bathroom. It was so odd and weird when we found this house, but now we've made it work for us. There is one funny story about the bathroom. Our master bathroom now, we have a tub, double sink, and a wet room, basically a shower. But before that, which I will point it out to you, that was like the mystery, Winchester Mystery House. That bathroom has 2 doors, imagine this. 2 doors from one room, but it's not like Jack and Jill doors. It's like one on one side, the other one's on the side wall. There are 2 vanities, separated, 2 toilets, and a tub in the middle. This is really funny, but we could basically hold hands if we sit down on our thrones. Welcome to the what I used to call the mystery bathroom. This is one opening that we kept. The other opening behind the bookshelf earlier I told you about, we closed it. So we converted this into our primary bathroom because it's closer to our primary bedroom and my husband's office now. So we built this custom Double sink with a tower, which is super practical for us. We have lots of makeups. No, I'm kidding. Just a lot of skin products and stuff. I love the marble. I like my bathroom to feel like spa-like because I'm a bit of a spa junkie as well as an almond junkie. I love my almond candles. You should check it out. Anyway, but this marble, it's called, I believe, it's not Giorgio Armani, but Grigio Armani or Armani Grigio, one of them. Same with the taps. The plumbing fixtures from Waterworks has a live brass finish, and it continues to patina. I actually love the verdigris accents as it develops patina. So as I'm one of those people, this is too much information maybe, but some people take a bath and they dry off. I just want to rinse off because I don't want that soapy water on me. So I love the exposed shower head from also Waterworks, all from the same collection. But one more thing, check this out. I'm just gonna walk to my, voila. And another part of the bathroom that I love, besides the heated floor, I have an automatic Toto, very hygienic and self-flush. And the I don't have to touch the lid, just opens on itself. Also, the seat is heated. I'm not a modern person. I always like some romance. So guess what? I found an antique screen from Shanghai, from China. And I just placed that outside of my bathroom, and I can look out from my garden but still have some privacy. And I have a bit of a fern garden out there, as well as a French giant capital sculpture. So just love the calm spa-like, but still has some personalities. So welcome to our office, but before we talk about this part of the office, let's talk about this corner a little bit, which is full of memorabilia, etc., etc. This corner is our dressing corner for a few reasons. We have our Steven's dad's commode here, and we put our sunglasses and cufflinks and buttons and pins stuff here. But also what's here is sort of like his dad's side of the family memory. His great uncle is actually or was the governor and senator of Iowa. And whenever we went to Iowa, they always treat us with a very important person. They used to take us to the Capitol and showed the First Lady ball gown then, etc. That's his dad, super handsome. He was, I believe, in the Army. God, I hope I was right. My husband was in the Air Force. But all this campaign buttons from as far as from the 1800s, I believe, is a collection of his family, and just love to put them in one corner from this antique cabinet I found in Bali also. And this portrait of me, here I'm being shy again, is actually done by a known illustrator. His name is Marc-Antoine Coulon, and he was introduced to me by my publisher in France, Flammarion, who published my book. So this is done for my design book. This mirror is really hard to find now. I found it from Antique Art Exchange. This is our full dressed, full height length of dressing mirror. More gift from Gladys Perrin Palmer. I feel honored because she did silhouettes of, good Lord, from Lady Di to Dior, Givenchy, Saint Laurent, and now I have my own from Gladys Perrin Palmer. Thank you, Gladys. As you know, I love fretwork and patterns and geometrical, and I did this for our office, this pattern, and I love it for the ceiling instead of one boring painted ceiling. Check out my jute rug, hand woven. It works perfectly for this hallway, for the width, the length, everything. But if you know what they are, you're gonna laugh. They are actually from Serena and Lily, and they're table runners, and I use them as rugs. Isn't that fun? Here is the actual office, but first, before I point anything out, this is one of the reasons why we fell in love with this property and the house, because of the view. And you'll see more from my primary bedroom. That's where we added the patio outside in a cobblestone mismatched pattern. And I did a fire pit to just hang out and have picnics or sunset sippy. And so this is our partner's desk. That's my side. It says the doctor's in. That's his facing. His side is here. But each of us has our own paperwork and stuff. And I still write. And I'll show you more of my writing desk in the other room. I call this wall the wall of the dead. Or it's nicer when I say it's the dearly departed wall. And this is mostly Stephen's ancestors, literally, mom and dad, his mom, his great-great-great uncle, I don't know how many, and great-great-great-grandmother. And we both love Lincoln, and I found this from the antique show. I can't remember the original but this is already the antique of the repro of the painting or the print. So I found this in its condition. By the way, I'm not responsible for this. Happy husband, happy life. So this is all his equipment. I fought, but he has to have it. Everybody said that looks like Stephen. You can be the judge. But I just kept it just because it's super fun. Love the convex mirror. Again, more. These are adopted families. And I got him because he looks so much like my co-author or the author that did the text for my book. His name is Dean Reese Morgan. And he reminds me so much of him, so I just have to have him. Stephen's dad, high school picture, so hot. And more of family pictures. And this is just a print that we found. Again, it reminded Stephen of his childhood. He used to have that. This chair is very special. This chair it belongs to Stephen's parents that are recovered, and also one of my fabric designs for Ellis Dunn. It's named after my late sister, and it's a Javanese pattern that I stripped down to be less ornate. So this is one of the collections I did for Ellis Dunn from the Sisters collection. Now this is my new collection with her, Ellis Dunn, but it's called the Brothers Collection, inspired by the men in my life that inspired me. Welcome to our primary bedroom. There's so much to tell here. Let's start with this corner. This is our little bar cart or bar tray for our quick, sunset when we're too lazy to go to the other bar or go to the dining room. We have a quick scotch or cognac or rum here. I found this, check this out. I have dimples. When I was a kid, they used to make fun of me because in my home country, only girls are supposed to have dimples, but how am I supposed to choose, right? So I found this bottle that says dimple, just a reminder of my childhood. This is a gift from a client. I love it. In this corner, just a collection of where I'm from. I was born in Sumatra, right here in old antique maps. That Sumatra, nobody knows where Sumatra is. It's close to Singapore. Australia is down there. But Krakatoa, the giant volcano that erupted in the 1800s, was about 150 miles away from my hometown. An old antique map of Switzerland. I went to school there. Just our memorabilia from Java and Bali, mass gift from loved ones. While we are here, let's talk quickly about this amazing secretary desk, a Swedish antiques secretary desk that has, check this out, lined with burled wood. Every single drawer, I don't know how many, I haven't counted yet, has a lot of memories from my travel or letters from my mom and dad, old tickets. I still write letters, so all my letters or letterheads collections here from hotels or my own. So this corner is super sentimental. Our pictures from 30 years ago, me in a Balinese outfit. You really want to know how my husband feels about me? It's right here. Okay, how cute is this? This is when he was a kid. Oh my gosh. I love this picture of him. I can't be responsible for this part of the bed. Again, I married a straight man right here with all the equipment, vintage equipment for the music. But I love this French dresser that I also found from Antique Art and Exchange. My husband is crazy about perfume and cologne, and this is only partial collection. He owns literally maybe close to 200 perfume. This bed, it's an old church pew, antique church pew, they're English or American, that has two angels. And it opens as storage. So storage is a plus. But what I fell in love with is this scroll, more importantly, the two angels. I asked my dear friend, Julie Stones, to gild the wings. When I acquired this bed, there were only my late sister who passed away, and I wrote a memoir about her. And that represents her, and the other side is represents Stephen's mom, late mom. Now they just represent people who already departed, and we miss them, we love them. So they're like our guardian angels here. The headboard is not matching with the bed. That bed frame is a hand-carved Javanese bed frame, again from my mom's village in East Java. But I found it here in California. The fact that they fit perfectly, I am amazed, and they mean something to me, so that's why I love it. Another duvet cover from antique fabric that is handmade by my dear Judith. This decorative pillow cushion is from lumbar from my fabric collection with Ellis Dunn. Every day when I make the bed, I make my bed every day. I leave love notes for my husband, like marble heart, and this one is from the Raffles in Singapore. I love what it says. It is not where you are, but who you are with that matters. I think that's super sweet. And every day I change different notes, or sometimes I just write my own love notes. Vintage light fixture, ceiling fixture here. It's the sun. I just loved it. I don't know what the origin. I think it's Italian, but I found it in California. It just works really well with my Balinese scenery wallpaper. These two chairs mismatched, but I love them. Work perfectly. The tufted leather vintage chair. This is where we sit down every morning and just to have coffee, lounge, we bicker, we exchange ideas, we reminisce or listen to music. Or if you turn around, we watch sunset when it's too cold or it's too foggy or cloudy or rainy. The next thing I want to talk about is two things. One is that chair, that one was in the guest room, but this is the other one. They don't exactly match. The fabric's definitely different, but it's from Scotland, 1845, George III. The fabric just has an accent. Here is from a gift from my childhood doctor's wife from my hometown when I saw her last with my mom and dad just during the pandemic. She brought it from my home province in Sumatra in Lampung, and just means so much to me. There is this antique Balinese hand carved. Look at how intricate the carving, but the color is absolutely beautiful, and this is what inspired the coloring of. If you turn around here, that you see, you cannot miss this wallpaper. This wallpaper is bespoke, hand-painted by De Gournay, as everybody knows what De Gournay is. I actually designed it for the San Francisco Fall Antique Show. I love all the details. I mean, super, super intricate, just like the carving. The gorgeous Balinese ladies, the monkeys, the statues, the fruits. We call this, I believe it's umbul umbul from the Balinese traditional handcrafts that they use for ceremonial days. just like with everything else in this house, I just packed everything. More is never enough. This is my nightstand or my side of the bed. This is what inspired the wallpaper that I designed for the gourmet, and that's my mom and my dad. He always carried her purse, and this is what I witnessed all my life when I grew up. So they're always close to me. Before I forget, I want to point out this lamp that my husband refinished himself. This is his childhood nightstand lamp, and he refinished it. I put new shades, and that's sweet, so I kept it. I talked earlier about my late sister. This is her when she was a kid, and so they just this pictures all the loved ones stay next to me. This is maybe one of the most emotional portrait of my parents. Before my father passed away, during the pandemic, we had to cancel a trip. I lost by then maybe 12 family members to COVID. But the first time I could visit my mom and my dad with my husband, this was one of the first few nights we were with them, and my mom and dad always prayed every night and hold their hands. If tonight my mom prayed, the next night my dad, they take turn. As soon as they say amen, they would kiss each other, and I caught a glimpse of them kissing each other in my memory of my childhood, so I took a snap. After my father passed away, my amazing sweetheart, she's also part of the family, Monica has been with me for almost 20 years. And after my father passed away, she made this from my Instagram. She converted this into a canvas portrait as a Christmas gift. And lo and behold, the same day I opened that gift, another gift arrived from Ireland. My friend, an artist in Ireland, who made an art out of my parents' hands clasping together as they were praying from the same portrait of Instagram. So Monica did their face kissing, and my friend in Ireland, and Monica is here in California, did their hands together. How crazy is that? A home for me is where Stephen is. Stephen is my husband, and especially his arms. But for me, a home is where I truly feel comfortable. Home is where I don't have to walk on eggshells, and that's the same thing what I tell my staff. This is my second home. It's my business. I don't want to walk on eggshells, and there's no eggshells in this house, and I just feel completely at ease. And home is also a place where I want to bring the people that I enjoy to be with and my loved ones to share the moments. That's how I feel about what home is.
Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Eric, and this is Layla.
And I'm Brennan. Welcome to our home in Mississippi.
Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
I'm Eric Kegler,
And I'm Brennan Hovel.
and welcome to our house in Jackson, Mississippi.
So the house was built in 1952. It was actually one of the first houses built in Northeast Jackson. It's lot number 1. This was a wooded rural area back in 1952.
We were lot number 1. The house was originally built by Betty Love and Jack McClarty. It was actually called the Tulip House and was actually the party house of Northside Drive. And now this is really kind of where it used to be a more rural forested area. Now we're kind of the central part of Jackson, sort of residential area.
And we're actually the second owners of the house. One of the great things about this neighborhood, when we moved in, we were the first people to become second owners in this neighborhood. all of the houses were still owned by the original owners that were adjacent to us, which was kind of cool.
So our house is 4,000 square feet, and it is a ranch. Actually, we bought the house 10 years ago, and there's an interesting story. We actually got an offer on our house, which was down the street, and we immediately were like, we need another home. So we had driven by the house, and Brennan was like, we should go look at that house. It had a for sale sign in the yard, but like it had been sort of sitting vacant for years. So we asked our realtor, she gave us the code to the house, and we snuck into the home, thinking that we had come to an estate sale here, which we had not.
No, we had not. We had never been in this house.
Because it had been vacant for about 4 years. There was a tree that had fallen through one of the back areas of the house.
The entire house was covered in mold. In Mississippi, we have yazoo clay here, which causes the foundations to shift. And there was a 9-inch drop within a 10-foot span in the foundation of the house. So you could really roll a bowling ball down from one side of the house to the other.
But my husband walked in this house, and we came into this room and saw the huge fireplace, which we love. But then as he was walking through the house, Brennan started to tear up, and he said, this house is so full of love. He said, it's amazing. Like, you can feel it in this house. And the truth was,
And
he
Eric
was right.
looked at me like I was insane.
I did.
Because it stunk so bad in here. He's like, how can you feel love in this disaster? But we knew this was a project we wanted to take on.
And we did.
So we talked to our realtor. Our realtor said that there had been multiple offers on the house, and Betty Love, the owner, had rejected all the offers, and she suggested that Eric write her a letter about why we loved the house and what our intention was with the house.
So Betty Love was really terrified that the house was going to get torn down. So I wrote her a letter and kindly told her what Brent and I did for a living. We were designers, and that we really wanted to bring the house back to its original grandeur. So Betty Love invited us to tea, and we had tea with Betty Love and sat, and she actually gave us her party book of all the parties she had thrown in the house with a list of all the guests and how much she spent.
We later learned that the house was like the party house in the 50s, 60s, and 70s in Jackson, Mississippi. Charity events were thrown here. It was the hobnob spot in Jackson.
But Betty Love gave us all of that, gave us all the renovation blueprints and everything, and sold us the house. And it was, actually we've met all the children. Betty Love has come to the house.
She loves most of what we've done. She hates the front doors.
Yeah, she did not like the double front doors. That was her one comment. I wasn't hot on but she loved everything else we did. Betty Love also told us that she moved out of the house because her husband had surgery. He could not return to the home, and she looked at Brent and I and she said, this house was never meant to be lived in alone.
She actually never slept one night alone in this house. The day he was transported to the hospital, she did not sleep in the house that night and never slept here again, which was kind of cool.
So we feel like we have a lineage to carry in the house, and so as we've worked on the house and done our own renovation projects on the house, it has really been always our goal to maintain that original energy that Brennan found in the house, and to keep continuing that on as we kind of work on the house, to fill it with love and community and friends, and it has really kind of...
The best part of this house is being able to entertain in it. Welcome to our foyer. This is the place where we welcome all of our guests, and we recently had this piece of art commissioned by Rosie Ferguson, who is kind of a friend of the family. It is a portrait of Julie Andrews, but it's more than a portrait of Julie Andrews. It really is one of the things that is most important to us in our lives. We love Broadway shows, we love New York City, and so we asked Rosie to put Julie Andrews in the middle of Times Square with all of the marquees that had all of the different shows that we'd seen and shows that we love, things that are important to us. There's a portrait of our dog Layla that she's right here, that's in the painting, we're in the painting, and all of the relief flowers that she origamied are made from playbills and tickets and shows that we've seen. And if you see the side of the picture, it is all of the tops of the playbill and the theater that the show was at.
What my husband doesn't want to tell you is the reason that it's Julie Andrews and says you are a few of my favorite things is during COVID, when we thought we were going to starve to death, I made him lip sync to favorite things in our store so that we could sell product online. This is what he's not telling you.
And I think it worked. We made it through. These sconces are also something we had commissioned. Tommy Mitchell, who is a metal floral sculptor, made these, and we are completely in love with them. The other thing that's great in this room is this bench that we had designed. Eric designed all the embroidery. It was kind of an influence from another thing that we love, Bergdorf Goodman. We love wandering the top floor of Bergdorf Goodman and just looking at all the home stuff and being inspired, and this bench was an inspiration from there.
The wallpaper in the foyer is from Tebow. It kind of runs through all of our hallways. It was a great way with that burled sort of look to it, but it's actually a vinyl, so it was really cost effective. But it really kind of helped tie everything together and kept the warmth of the house that we found so important. That chair actually belonged to a woman that was supposed to have been on the Titanic.
She was not on the Titanic because their dog was sick, and so she took the next boat, but that, you know.
But I actually got the chair for free from her estate because the family, my mother does estate planning for people, and when they were doing sort of the estate sale, the family, I was sort of buying a few things, and the family was like, I mean, just take the chair, it's fine. Well, later it sort of, they found the receipt for the chair, and it was worth a little pretty penny, so I was very happy to have the chair, actually. So
I think it's the third time we've recovered it.
yeah, we love that chair. The next room we're going to take you in is our lobby, and we actually call it the lobby because when Brent and I were designing it and the pieces of furniture we ordered, we had a friend come over here and she was like, oh my God, it's like a lobby of a hotel. And so we kind of
So instead of a living room, we call it the lobby.
we call it the lobby.
So join us in the lobby.
So welcome to our lobby. We really worked on designing this room and created it off of an artist that I found actually working on an event. His name is Tommy Pruitt. He actually was diagnosed with early onset dementia. He was a doctor, his wife was an artist, and she actually got him to start drawing and painting to help his dementia stay at bay. So at the event, I just fell in love with his work. And so I bought 10 of the pieces. But really what was sort of special was he has since then passed away, but we have become friends with the wife. So these pieces are really, really special to me and to us. But the room sort of began around those pieces of art, actually, as well as a piece of art that Brendan is in love with.
It's a Jacques Nestle. It was painted in Paris. He supposedly studied with Picasso in the 20s. And it is just one of my very favorite pieces that we own in the house.
We picked the paint color on the walls. It actually is from Backdrop. It's called Suntan. It really kind of helped to warm the space and bring the space together. And it's kind of the nicest golden beige color. It just was a really nice sort of backdrop for everything. I fell in love with the fabric on these chairs. It is from Liberty of London. And I really, when we found the fabric, this fabric, and there's a plaid fabric on the chaise bench, that when we found these two fabrics, they really sort of set the room and kind of set the whole tone for the fabrics in the room, which I love a textile. So that was kind of really important as we were sort of working on everything. Yeah, this is sort of like, I love amazing artists. It's kind of, and so there's actually, we call it the goiter. It actually is a Rhode Island designer that hand blows glass that I just fell in love with this piece. It was just so amazing and her work was so beautiful. And this sculpture is actually an Asian artist that we found when we were in Paris. And again, like it was just sort of, I love the aesthetic of it. Coming from my background in dance, the curves and everything were really important. The bowls were actually, we found on our honeymoon.
They're actually made from like a volcanic ash that they turn into this clay and create these bowls out of. The pièce de résistance on the center of the table is actually from Home Goods. Don't tell anybody, but they are from Home Goods.
Yeah, it is true. The piece over here is actually from the outside of someone's mausoleum. It was a collected piece that I actually found at a junk shop, but I just sort of fell in love with it. And the column base that's underneath it was a piece that I got off of an estate sale that I just sort of, again, thought it was really kind of fascinating. And we have used it all over, and I end up with people that want it, but I just can't get rid of it because I just think it's so beautifully done and it's kind of amazing.
Our favorite spot in this room is our puzzle table. We love doing Liberty puzzles, which is a wood puzzle. And when we designed this room, we really wanted to create this space that gave us the opportunity to hang out and do puzzles. It's one of the other great things that came out of COVID. We realized that we love doing a puzzle.
Well, we have a fire today because it really froze yesterday. We generally do not use our fireplaces all that often. So, but it does work. It actually is the original fireplace to the house with the original stone. This was one of the things that we did not change. We did not really change any aspect of the front of the entire house. We redid a little bit of work in the foyer and closed off a closet, but really we kept this entire space very quintessential to the original aspects of this house. We changed a little of the molding detail on the windows and the doors, and did a little work. When we get to the family room, we did a little work in that area as far as just closets, but really this whole area of the house was really maintained from the original. So the mirror is actually, my mother works with estate planning and older people on their estates. And so what ends up happening in our life is I feel like Brennan and I are now the collectors of all of the things that our families are like, I have this incredible mirror and I don't know what to do with it anymore. And they're like, do you want it? So this was one of those moments of my mother saying like, I don't have a place for this, but I don't want it to get damaged. So it really kind of houses a beautiful space like on our mantle and has amazing, like all of the carving up top and everything is beautiful. So I'm happy to be a little storage unit for some members of our family. And the food dogs were, I think they were just something we found. Brent and I have a large love of like Asian things and sort of collectibles like bronze. There's a set of bronze like collectibles that are from Thailand and Vietnam over here that we sort of love. So I think this was kind of just some of the things that we found like through some of our travels and as we were sort of going through. This bowl is actually from California and was a California artist that sort of created the bowl, but I actually thought the set of it looked sort of like congruous all together, which was really, really nice.
We don't necessarily know the lineage of everything in the house. We just know that we like it.
Yeah, it kind of is how we buy things, is that the love of the thing is kind of important. And really like the love of like a great artist or somebody interesting that we find. So some of the pieces have stories around them of friends that we've collected from or artists that we've met and become friends with. And other things just are really that we found them and just kind of fell in love with the way they looked. And this room kind of reflects my love of beautiful upholstery. I love to kind of put a detail on a skirt and a detail on a chair. That kind of was really important as we were working on the space to kind of really work on the details of kind of how everything kind of came together. But again, also reflected a little bit, like I don't like things to feel like you can't go and sit in our house. So that was kind of really important to us. That was our lobby. The next place we're going to move on to is our dining room.
So you want the real story, or do you want the story we used to tell people?
So Brett and I met. In working in design, have worked all over the country, and I was working in Dayton, Ohio. Brett and I actually met.
And I'm from Dayton, Ohio.
Brett and I met actually on a hookup site.
Grindr, to be specific. A little plug for Grindr.
But Brett and I met and immediately sort of had a connection, and just kind of our relationship developed very quickly. And honestly, we met in August, and by October, Brennan had moved here, and
A little crazy.
it was a little nuts, but I had the design business, but we have grown it since then and opened the store and done everything sort of together. It was just kind of one of those things that was sort of kismet. But what's really interesting is, in my first career, I was a ballet dancer, and I danced in Cincinnati, Ohio, and Brennan and I lived 3 blocks from each other in Cincinnati.
Thank God we didn't meet till we were in our 40s, because we would have surely screwed it up if we'd met in our 20s.
Exactly. So we met later in life, but the truth is, through our lives, we have had clients that were friends with each other in Dayton. It's a very weird connection that we have had for most of our life, but really just sort of met 12 years ago and got married 10 years ago, and got married and renovated this house, bought the house and renovated it all at the same time.
Actually, within weeks of getting married, buying the house, starting the renovations. It was all the things they say you're not supposed to do. Buy a new car, get married, buy a new house. We did
all of those things.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Welcome to our dining room. This room houses some of our favorite things.
Some of your favorite
Some of my favorite things. Okay, some of my favorite things for sure. I'm an avid collector of blue and white. This wall houses a great collection of some of the platters and teapots and cash pots that I've collected over the years. And Eric is a whiz at hanging collections of things on the wall. I think that's why I married him, actually, because I had all these collections. I needed someone to help me put them together.
Oh my God, I was waiting to know the reason. But it was important to us that, sometimes when you're hanging platters and stuff, it was really important for me not to let things get flat. Sometimes it gets to be really flat. So I found these ledges and all these pieces of acrylic to sort of help create the collection. So it ended up having more depth to it and a little more interest, so that you could see all the different pieces, and it gave it some texture and interest off of this wallpaper, which we kind of are obsessed with.
We fell in love with this wallpaper. We were randomly walking down the street in Paris and walked past the Pierre Frey showroom, and this wallpaper was hanging in the front window of the showroom, and stopped dead in my tracks. And I was like, we have got to go in and check this out. It's actually a mural, and when we first saw it, it was not quite available in the United States yet, so we had to wait a little bit for it to be available in the United States. And we love it on these walls.
It really, sets a great tone in our dining room. It really kind of is the hub of our house. I meditate in here every morning, and it is just the nicest space to actually sit in and enjoy. It's so comforting, and we love having friends over for dinner, and it just creates the most just serene environment to sort of enjoy. And we love dishware. That would be my sort of first love, is dishes. So it also really kind of helped with the mural to kind of bring all this together, that we can do different selections of dishes on the table. And we did this glass top table, which I actually found this table at a Palm Beach sort of consignment store and fell in love with it. It is custom iron wheat stalks, and I packed this in the van that I was driving at the time and drove it back from South Florida so that I could have this dining room table. And it has followed us through several houses just because I love this table. And we designed the chairs in these manual canvas velvet to kind of reflect
This chair is a perfect example of just creating detail with the fabrics. This loose stripe on the back and the loose back cushion with the cording is just a really interesting way to apply these two fabrics. I don't necessarily call a dining room chair sexy, but I think these dining room chairs are probably the sexiest thing in our house.
Besides me? My chop a liver? What do we got going on here?
I don't know. These chairs are pretty good.
So the rug is actually from a company called Jaipur.
It's a brand new rug.
It is actually brand new, but it was kind of the find of the century that there's always a color story when you're working on a house, like the story that kind of moves you through. And I would have never told you that the color story we ended up with was the color that finds its way through our whole house is a strange sort of tealish green color. But like bringing this rug in and the dining room chairs actually started bringing the whole house together in a way. Because this was not one of the first rooms we worked on in the house. And so it kind of was interesting as we got to sort of a point in the journey, we were like, this color really sets the tone, and this rug really brings all the colors of our house together in it, which was really kind of a happy accident. We could not do a house tour without pretty flowers. That just is sort of the quintessential thing about us in our home, is we like to entertain and bring people over. The candlesticks are actually, I have a client that likes to give things away, to be honest with you, and so she gives clothes away, and she was giving
Fendi bags.
Fendi bags.
Our employees get free Fendi bags, and it's.
So in all honesty, these candlesticks were a moment that we were in a cabin, and she was like, just get rid of those, and I was like, can I have them? And so really they were kind of, I feel like they were sort of, and they're amazing. I mean, the blue in them and the crystals are incredible, and so yeah, they were free.
Nothing wrong with free.
There's nothing wrong with free. So as we go into the next room, which is our family room, we will expose our dish closet, which is, so there's.
We have a horrible addiction to dishes in China, and our friends always give us a hard time because if we have them over for burgers, the table is completely set with salad plates, chargers, dessert plates, crystal, glassware, the whole 9 yards. We love the full presentation.
Yeah, the two cabinets that are actually in the lobby actually house all of our napkins, napkin rings, like all the candles, like everything are kind of hidden away in there and kind of organized. So it is, we love to set a table. And one of the only reasons I did not set it today is just because I love how the table looks and it was going to cover it up.
The house is very keeping with the architectural style of the house, which is very traditional. But we try to infuse some modern, more updated, traditional into that traditional design. I am much more traditional than Eric.
I was about to say, like,
Eric would funk it up more than I would, but.
So it is really a combination of the two of us. I will really say that Brennan and I will agree that I find that it's nice to embrace the architecture of a home, but my husband is much more traditional. I am much more eclectic and a little funky. So this house is a real combination of the two of us with a little more of the traditional aspects, but some definite eclecticism and things like that thrown in there just for good measure to kind of spice it up a little bit. So y'all, welcome to our family room. Also kind of in Mississippi, we call it a keeping room. So we were kind of talking in the dining room about our setting of the table. So originally when we got the house, there was a closet on this side with sort of those old-fashioned partition doors on it. And so Brent and I revamped this closet to actually be our dish closet, and we had it all lined in felt. But I will tell you, love a dish. So when Brennan and I actually got married, we had 89 guests at our wedding, and we served everybody on china. That was kind of our goal. So we bought china through the years. My favorite set is sort of this set of Haviland china that comes in like 3 different colors. It's all hand painted. It is like one of my favorite sets that we own, actually. I use it all the time. But one of the things this is one of our most recent purchases, is this Moda set that is got the most beautiful colors. It looks amazing on our dining room table. We love sort of seeing it there. And collections of chargers, like we have sort of over the years collected the chargers that sort of go with this setup. And we have kind of partitioned it in between, as you can sort of see, with all of these little foam pieces to kind of keep everything a little protected in here, but beautiful. This actually is the dishware that came from that entire set that I bought for Brennan, which is just beautiful. But on top of that, we have just pretty stuff that we really like. So, I mean, again, there's everything from high-end to sort of basic everyday dishes, but we just love to set a beautiful table. So this was a great way for us to kind of create this and design these beautiful like heart of pine doors that sort of create this sort of herringbone pattern on them. And we actually designed the bar doors to actually match those. And so in the house, when we bought the house, because we told you it was the party house on Northside Drive, there were 5 bars in this house and outside.
A bar in this room, a bar in the master bedroom, a bar in the kitchen, a bar outside.
And there was one more bar in the gazebo.
Yeah.
So we actually sort of funneled it down to 1 bar, but we actually designed all of this with all of our glassware and everything inside of it, and really kind of designed the interior drawers to kind of hide all of our napkins are in this side and glasses, but we love beautiful glassware as well. So that was kind of where we stored it all. And these are actually napkins that we still have from our wedding, because if anybody needs a tip, like, don't over-order your napkins for your wedding. You'll have them forever. And don't put the date on them either. But this is also kind of where we put our pictures of Layla that we love. So this houses a lot of things we love. Alcohol and our dog.
So I'm a vodka drinker. So I am vodka, soda, grapefruit juice pretty much all the time. Eric is the adventurous one.
I'm a little more adventurous. Right now I'm sort of a tequila person. I'm always a champagne person. Champagne is my go-to. But right now I'm sort of having a little tequila moment. But I've just moved from a gin moment. So, wow, I sound like a booze hound.
His favorite cocktail is a cocktail called The Last Word, which you can probably realize Eric's always going to get the last word in, but it is gin, chartreuse, champagne, and
Luxardo.
Yeah. And so it's liquor.
This actually is a nice backdrop for the rest of our family room, which really is the place that we hang out. The TV's in here. I think we bought the house because of this massive fireplace that I make.
For sure.
But it really kind of developed, again, you know, it's kind of like the lobby. We sort of developed this room to have a great deal of seating in it. This tends to be the room that our friends kind of come to and we hover in and hang out in.
This was actually the first room that we decorated or did anything with. While the rest of the house was under construction, this room was visqueened off because it was the only spot that there wasn't drywall dust and construction workers and just absolute disaster. It was the only place that we could come. So this was the first room that we did in the house. And the sofa fabric was really the jumping off point for this room.
It's a GP&J Baker fabric. It was a beautiful floral that I fell in love with. And as Brennan told you, I love a fabric.
And so does Layla, obviously.
And so does Layla. She is in her happy moment laying in here in the heat. But everything kind of developed off of this couch, and we actually created this couch to be a really good, like, watching TV couch, as well as this chair, which is sort of the chair I hang out and watch TV in all the time, which I love a little leopard print, and this leopard velvet, it was kind of one of my favorites.
It's tiger.
It's tiger.
Like I said, we just buy what we like. We don't know what it is.
The color on the walls in here is actually painted in homage of my husband's love of blue and white. I told him that I would not have a house that was all blue, but we did paint this room Hague blue from Farrow and Ball, which is really one of my favorite colors, and it really does sort of richen the space.
It's also one of our favorite paints. It is, Farrow and Ball paint is really, the flat Farrow and Ball paint creates a great depth when you use a dark color, so.
Yeah, it is true. But the fabrics in here just kind of got developed over just time. Like, really, we sort of found things as we were sort of going. We kind of created a little pocket of furniture, and then we kind of just kept developing, layering. And some of the fabrics in here are antique. Like, there's actually an antique textile that was sort of like from the 1800s that is sort of like a cut hand-stitched velvet. And there's like a crazy quilt over there that I found in an antique store and just kind of fell in love with it. My grandmother was actually a quilter in Wisconsin, so I think on some level I just love the handwork of all of that. I think it's kind of amazing.
This room actually houses probably the some of our best blue and white in the cabinets on either side of the fireplace, and then kind of scattered you saw around in the bar. But some of our best pieces are in this room and kind of also helped to develop the original design of this room. So this room was part of the very first renovation that they did on the house. This house, prior to us owning it, had been through 3 different renovations. And this room was actually the garage. And they put these brick floors down. And I think this renovation was done sometime in the mid-70s. We don't know that for sure, but they did put the brick floor down at that time. I don't know if you noticed when we came into this room, you had to step down into this room. When we first looked at this house, you didn't have to step down to get into this room. But we had to jack the foundation up to make the house as level as possible, which created a step down into this room. This is the only portion of the house that is on a slab. The rest of the house is on what they call a conventional foundation, so we have a crawl space under the rest of the house.
I will tell you a cute story in the fact that Brennan and I, on one of our first dates, actually each bought one of those skulls that are on the fireplace. And this was pre-realizing that we were going to get married or do anything. So, like, those skulls were each in our separate spaces until we sort of got together. So that is probably one of our, like...
For 3.5 days until we, decided to join the skulls together.
It was a very short-lived romance before it became like, oh, we're moving in together. But, I think all of the objects in here, there's just some great stuff and great blue and whites. Like, this is a piece that I found in Alaska that's like a fossil bone. Really, like, was just something cool that I found and sort of fell in love with. But each of the things, I mean, some of it is, like, there are pieces that my mother has brought for us from her travels. My mother is an avid traveler, so some of it comes with that. And a lot of it is just books we love and art that we love in this room. The pieces that are on the fireplace that are above the fireplace were actually 3 pieces that Brent and I originally found in Paris at an art flea market that we sort of fell in love with. So probably of any of the things in here, those are kind of our most special things, or the things that we sort of have collected together and have found together on trips. So the copper actually that we purchased, like, we kind of have a huge collection of antique copper, both that we hide away in the kitchen drawers that we cook with, but this was sort of an extension of that we sort of bought, like, through the years and actually have been gifted as Christmas presents, like, from our families.
The collection actually started with one. I had this idea when we first moved into the house. The fireplace is so big, and there were these original wrought iron swing arm things that were in the fireplace, and I thought, oh, let's get a big copper pot, and we will put water and potpourri in there, and the whole house will smell amazing. While this fireplace produces a lot of heat, it's so big that I couldn't even get the water to boil to create any scent. So then it just became decorative.
In a room this size, to sort of create the seating arrangements that we created, I think some of the ideas that we used that were really helpful to kind of bring the space together and divide it apart a little bit was we kind of layered rugs on top of each other that helped give each space some identity while starting to then also bring them all kind of together. So I think the overlapping of the rugs and things really helped to kind of give some definition. And then we kind of decided to layer the furniture on top of it. I think some of the misconception of what people do when they're decorating in a larger space is trying to, like, create one seating area that houses everything.
People oftentimes think that, all the furniture needs to face the TV, or all the furniture needs to be focused around the fireplace. And we don't necessarily believe that that's true. If you create conversation areas and multiple conversation areas inside of a room, it allows you to enjoy the TV, enjoy the fireplace, and create areas that you can gather with your friends and family.
We have 8 seats at our dining table, and so I think it was also really important for us to create an environment that you could seat the 8 guests that were having dinner with you, like, in a room together. So one of the things in both the lobby and this room that were important was creating an environment that housed that many seats so that really it was always comfortable for us to, like, have guests that could move to different spaces was also one of the things that we always really wanted as we were working on a room.
So this was our family room. So please follow us into the kitchen. So we're both interior designers and we work together. And it becomes a fairly easy balance. There's certain things that are really important to me and there's certain things that are really important to Eric. And I think that we somehow, I don't even know how this happens, but we somehow allow the other person's personality and creativity to come through. Eric loves a pattern. Eric loves a crazy upholstery. And I have come to embrace it. Like he does things I would have never thought to do with fabric and trim and upholstery details.
And I will really say, I think, and I will say, this is over 12 years of a relationship. So to be clear, like this was not,
it wasn't always that
not
easy.
always this easy. But I do think that we've really come to a place where, like, if Brennan really vetoes something, like, I'm clear, like, this is not going to happen. And I think there are things that we both find important. And I think we have grown in our marriage to really find a way to listen to each other and to compromise the things with each other. And so I think it's really created a really healthy environment of how we create in the house. I will say also, my husband is an incredible gardener and does amazing yard work. And if Jackson hadn't frozen over 2 days ago, you would probably see more of our lovely yard. So we've also sort of made it that, like, I will work on a lot of the interior of the house and he will kind of like come and edit and give his opinion. And outside, we kind of do the same thing. It's like we kind of balance our relationship out to give each other some primary, like, skills of like decorating and design.
Which is perfect because Eric doesn't do outside.
I do not. I don't like outside. It's hot here, except for today when it's below freezing.
Yes. Welcome to our kitchen. This was probably one of the biggest renovation projects that we took on in this house. It was originally 2 rooms. The kitchen stopped, it was in this area, and the kitchen stopped about right here. There was one small octagon-shaped plant window in the kitchen, and this part of the room was an old 1950s knotty pine family room. We knocked the entire back wall of the house off, had floor-to-ceiling windows put in, and did this 17-foot long island. One of the things that was kind of inspiring about creating this space was we found these antique lanterns, lights that were from an old ship. We found those in North Carolina. Completely fell in love with those and knew that they had to go in this space.
And the other thing that really inspired us was the fact that you could not really see the beauty of our backyard in the original design of this kitchen. And really, I wanted to make sure, because I do most of the cooking in our life, I wanted to make sure that we could develop a space that really allowed me to sort of see the exterior and really view the backyard and enjoy sort of the experience of getting to cook and work and do things here while getting to sort of see what Brendan has worked so hard on in our backyard, which is really important.
If you notice, this room is very white and bright and light, and the rest of the house has a lot more color in it, and we really wanted this room to be an extension of the outside. So we wanted to allow the openness of the windows to all just kind of bring the outside in, and we didn't want a whole lot of distraction with dark, heavy colors that we've got in other parts of the house.
We did, however, kind of want to layer and create the same texture. So we used actually 2 Philip Jeffrey wall coverings. We did one that's a wood veneer and silver on the ceiling that really kind of helped to develop the space. We actually have low ceilings in this house, and we've done a few ceiling details to actually create more height. And then we actually used a grass cloth on the walls that really kind of, again, helped to give a little bit of texture and interest, because neither Brennan nor I are totally white kitchen people. So this was a great way to kind of develop that. The light fixtures really helped us work off of the hardware too, which we two-toned the metal on the hardware to kind of work off the light fixtures, and also did this kind of more contemporary stainless steel backsplash sort of over the cooktop that kind of really all kind of helped to bring the space together. But one of the things that really became important as we were working on our kitchen was we each kind of wanted certain things. Brennan really wanted a workstation sink, which we really do love. This is a Kraus sink, and it is kind of one of the most ideal things that we have brought into the kitchen, just in terms of throwing a dinner party and keeping things sort of hidden and tucked away.
It's so functional. Whenever we work with clients and we're renovating a kitchen, since we've lived with this sink, we highly recommend a big, deep workstation kitchen, because you can hide all kinds of dishes in there when you have company.
And I actually wanted the French door ovens, which was sort of my thing, because I just loved how they looked. But I will also say that what I never realized was how ergonomic it was to be able to open the doors, and thank God it's clean.
Cleanish.
And not have to lean over to actually go into there. It really was kind of one of those things that I was like, I love it, but I love it even more now that it's sort of been done. One of the things that we really did do as we were working on the kitchen was we did the island, because we also knew that, like, you know, whenever you have people over, they want to hang out with you. So we kind of created this space with a floor to ceiling windows so that we would also have a place for guests to sit and enjoy themselves, but also to sort of work off of giving Brennan and I sort of a small breakfast area for us to enjoy ourselves. And we actually took the knotty pine that was from the den area and stripped it, and actually created sort of our pantry and our TV area. And this houses, like, I love hot tea, and this houses all of Layla's treats and things. But it gave us a really nice space, and also kind of, again, like, took a part of the history of the home and adapted it for a space that was kind of important to us. And upholstered the doors in this great Nina Campbell fabric with this Samuel & Sons trim that kind of made a little interest and brought a little of that tealish green element that we had sort of found was like the story of our house into here, to kind of give it a little bit of a burst of color without being too distracting from the outside. The chair fabric we initially found is an Osborne & Little fabric that we fell in love with and had a ton of color in it. We actually ended up that this antique bamboo table has sort of moved around our house all over the place into like guest rooms and things. And it really ended in the fact that one day we were sort of sitting here and we were like, why aren't we bringing this into our breakfast room? And it is just the most functional table, but at the same time really brings that sort of warmth in. It developed into the bar stools, which were also sort of a bamboo, and it kind of gave a little bit of a casual feel to this.
But it also helps to follow that same idea of bringing the outside in with a little more natural elements, and just gives it a little bit of warmth inside of all of the bright and the white.
And our kitchen is kind of narrow, so one of the things it also did was it allowed us to bring the 2 chairs in, and we actually have 2 stools that we kind of prop our feet on, but sometimes when we have friends over, they'll kind of pop on the stool and we'll all kind of hang out and eat a little dinner. So it's also kind of a nice way that we got 4 seats in here without it feeling overcrowded in this space. We would love to show you a few of our bedrooms next, so if you'll follow us down the hall, we will take you there.
I became an interior designer by accident. My house was on a Christmas tour. I lived in a historic district in Dayton, Ohio, and the owner of one of the big design firms in Dayton came through the house and offered me a job. And I told him I had no experience, and he said he would train me and teach me. And the second I went to work for him, I knew that this was where I was supposed to be, and have done design work ever since.
And for me, I started dancing when I was about 8 years old. I went to college and did my career as a classical ballet dancer. As I was retiring in my late 20s, I needed some direction, and I really loved textiles when I was a kid and enjoyed all that. My mom actually dabbled in design work. And so I actually decided to go back to school and study design. And I got out of school and went to work for a firm on Palm Beach and really loved the process of doing all of it. I just loved every bit of being a designer. And so when I had a partner at the time, he got a job in Jackson, and I decided to come here because my roots were Southern. And while he and I did not work out, I really enjoyed it here, and the Southern aesthetic and the design pull is so strong here with the community here. It really just has always captured me to sort of stay here and develop the relationships that we have with our clients here. So it's kind of how I ended up 25 years ago moving to Jackson, but we love it here.
And I met this one and moved to Jackson, not realizing that I think I was actually really born a Southerner, but didn't identify as a Southerner until I actually got here. Completely love it. It's such a great spot. When we tell people we're from Mississippi when we're traveling in other parts of the country, they just kind of look at us funny, but it is such a great spot and such an incredible community of people. Welcome to what we call our girls' bedroom. We have a girls' bedroom and a boys' bedroom.
I'm not sure how this history happened, but we have always in our houses had a girls' guest bedroom and a boys' guest bedroom, so here we are. This room, my favorite color is orange, and so this room really got developed over my love of orange, and I found this Clark & Clark wallpaper that is this geometric botanical with butterflies and snakes and
dragonflies.
It is kind of incredible, and it had a matching velvet to it, which I kind of loved. So this room kind of got inspired from that, and then I found the Andrew Martin glossy tangerine wallpaper for the ceiling, and that was kind of like the starting point for this entire space. Strangely enough, this is a piece from my childhood. It is an Ethan Allen secretary, and I had it faux finished ages ago in this sort of like orange color with a little bit of antiquing done to it, and so it kind of worked perfectly bringing it in the bedroom. The coloration worked great for bringing in our extra like dining room chair in here, so that's kind of been a really nice way to use our furniture so that we don't have just random furniture sitting around our house.
Guest rooms are always a great place to kind of house those extra dining chairs that you don't really have room for in your dining room.
The bedding really got created to kind of really give a backdrop to the wallpaper. So we found a great ticking that kind of developed the bed and just little pockets of color, but didn't want to be too distracting as you sort of came in the room from all of the different things in here and from the bed itself.
And the bed is probably one of the more interesting pieces in the room. This was actually one of the very first pieces of furniture that Ralph Lauren designed. And being a traditionalist, Ralph Lauren is kind of one of my big design inspirations. It's got a little wear and tear on it, but Eric fell in love with it in an auction and kept bidding and bidding and bidding and bidding. So it's going to be in our house forever.
Yeah, you know that moment in an auction where somebody's bidding against you and you're just like, but I want it, but I want it. But I kind of hit that moment, not really paying attention to like how much I was wanting it, but it was worth it.
It was worth it.
But love the bed, and it's kind of an amazing piece, and really do love the story behind it because we both sort of have an affection for Ralph Lauren and the design aesthetic that comes with Ralph Lauren. So that was kind of a nice...
It's nice to own that little piece of that history.
Yeah. I think when you're working with color, and while we work on lots of different levels with lots of different clients, and clients that want a more neutral palette and clients that are more colorful, I always think it's about the strength of color that you're sort of using and keeping it managed in the strength. So like really when I was working on this room, what was so great about the wallpaper was the deep navy blue in the wallpaper actually gave a huge rich tone that kind of balanced sort of that richer sort of very like bold color orange that we picked for in here. So I think a lot of times as you're working on rooms, it's really about the balance you take of the color scheme you're making. I think it's very easy to bring color into a room as long as you're keeping everything at the right levels together so that everything kind of reads as like it's all a 5. I think it actually kind of allows you to mix and play a little more in that color. But I will also say that I think so much of it is about using colors that you love and that you look good in as well. So I think so much of like our design aesthetic comes from like, you know, your color tones and how you look in a room becomes very important to like what you should put in your own home. You know, it's like there are colors that we love, but I don't necessarily, neither of us look very good in. So I think it is the choice you make around how you place color in your home appropriately as well.
So all of our bedrooms have their own ensuite. It was one of the things that when we started the renovation of the house, we wanted to make sure that each bedroom had its own private bath, which is great for our guests and great for company. So the bathroom in this bedroom was probably one of the biggest disasters during the renovation. The contractor fell completely through the floor into the crawl space. And one of his guys came running up to us like, oh my gosh, we have a huge problem. So just the perils of renovation. But out of that came this great space.
That we kind of did a little more of a traditional sort of like clawfoot bathtub that, again, we drove back from a trip to Ohio and found in sort of an antique shop, but really developed it to sort of have a little feel of a continuation of this bedroom. We did an Andrew Martin grass cloth on the walls and the ceiling to kind of create some continuity, and then really did this Samuel & Sons grosgrain trim to kind of help define the space and cover up actually some of the mechanics of using a grass cloth and cutting it at the ceiling and the wall space. The painting on the wall is actually really special to me. When I danced, I was actually the first male Peter Pan to have the ballet created for me. And that piece was actually by the artist that created the backdrop of when Peter Pan takes the children to Never Never Land. This was one of the schematics that came across the back wall as we were flying. So he gave it to me as we were sort of creating the ballet, and it is got a very special place in my heart, very much so. And we really in this bathroom wanted to do something a little more interesting than sconces on the walls. So we found these great Ralph Lauren fixtures that we found these floating shelves that we kind of put them on to just create a little more interest in here and something kind of special.
And this is another example of how we kind of love to mix metals. The silver lamps with the gold mirror, the silver hardware on the sink, gold hardware on the chest. We think if done well, you can absolutely mix metals. I think people are oftentimes afraid of it, but we've done it in here, we did it in our kitchen, and I just think it kind of gives a layered, eclectic feel. I think the thing that gives a home a soul is the people that you invite inside. I think that the soul of the home comes from the friends and the family and the connections and the memories that are made in the house. It has nothing to do with the lamps or the art or the rug or any of those things. It's about the memories that you share with the people you love in the house.
I agree. I think the soul of a home comes from what you put in it. And I don't mean like the furnishings. I mean, I think so much of what you create is the flow of how energy works in a home so that your family grows and your happiness grows and that your community grows there. I think it becomes what is so important. And I think it is, even in our own home, what was so important was that initial moment that Brennan was so moved by the energy in this house that I think it's the thing you capture and that you build on. And I think so much of that has to do with the people that are there and the people that you invite into your life. So on the way to the primary is our powder bathroom, which was actually originally a laundry room. But we found this crazy paper from a company called Mind the Gap and just fell in love with it because it actually went with these upholstered deer mounts that are hanging above the toilet, which I was a little obsessed with. So we created this space to kind of be a little bit of a quirky sort of room. The antique tile behind the mirror helps to create some depth, as does the made goods mirror. And I actually found the sink, which is petrified wood, on eBay as we were working on the house. So this was kind of one of my little like inexpensive finds. And actually the soap dish is from an old carriage. It used to be sort of where they put the lanterns in the antique carriages at the time. So it was kind of just a little quirky little thing along the way to our primary bedroom. So y'all come on in.
Welcome to our primary bedroom.
This space really reflects a little of what we were doing when we worked on the kitchen. We have a great view of our backyard out of the windows here. So we really wanted to develop a space that was both sort of restful for both of us and a continuation of the outdoors. So the greens and the soft grays were really important for us to sort of develop in this room to kind of create a nice warm palette in here.
And like probably most of what we do with our clients and most of what we've done in our house is we find a fabric that is kind of our jumping off point.
Yes.
Like the fabric on the sofa in the family room. The fabric that kind of inspired this room was the fabric that is on the chair and on the window treatments in this room. It was
Lee Joffa.
Yeah, we fell in love with it, and it became the jumping off point for the entire room.
And so in working on it, we kind of developed both, again, like how to soften everything to keep it so that all the fabric showed off, and also to create a little texture in here. So we found this beautiful plaid carpet that we fell in love with that really kind of has that gray tone to it. And it really kind of helped bring all of our furniture together as we were kind of working on it. This sofa is my favorite story. I bought this sofa for $75 at the Salvation Army and had...
Not in this fabric.
No, it's been upholstered several times through the years. But I had our upholsterer, who's amazing, cut the notch in it because Layla likes to get up on the bed. So this was a way for her to get up on the bed easier. And covered it in this great cravat fabric with this great Samuel & Sons bullion trim that is just kind of puddling all over the floor, which I love.
This room has a lot of different patterns of fabric in it, which I think normally is a challenge for people. But I think one of the ways to be able to introduce multiple patterns of fabric into one room is how you repeat them through the room. So we've taken, like, the edge trim on this chair is the same fabric that's on the pillows on the bed.
The bed fabric is actually on the skirt of this piece over here, which actually hides all of our gym clothes, and our t-shirts are all folded up underneath this. So that's kind of a nice little trick if you need extra storage, because our closet in this house is not exactly humongous. So, and it also just kind of, we created the top for this piece. It brought the fabric, the floral over here. It really is about how you balance the pattern so that it kind of keeps the story going as you're walking through the house. It also really helped Brent and I to kind of show off pieces that basically came from both of our histories together. These are pictures of me when I was younger and dancing. A piece we picked up on the street in New York. Some black and whites that Brennan had when, like, from his younger days in design. Strangely enough, this piece of art is one of our favorites because it is actually taken by one of my clients.
Eric's very first client.
My very first client took this photo, and Brennan bought it at an auction.
At an auction, at a charity auction. I bought that photo probably 5 years before we met, 5 or 6 years before we actually met or even knew anything about each other. So it's just happy coincidence.
But this we actually found, there's a great company in Birmingham, Alabama that actually sells both concrete pieces that are new, but this was sort of a student done antique piece that they had found in Europe. And so we had bought this, and I just kind of loved the curves and the shape of it. Looks amazing with these lamps from Visual Comfort. And again, the shades sort of pair perfectly with it, which kind of made me really happy. I love walking in this room and sort of seeing this. It just sort of settles me, makes me really thrilled. And it also then moves really well into Brendan's
Another one of my
collection.
collections is the finials that are on this mantle. These are all either stair parts or old finials from the ends of drapery rods. And I've collected these just randomly over the years. They're, you know, a couple dollars here, a couple dollars there, but they make a great little collection.
And it really, so this is a hickory chair bed. That is, we kind of worked on the bedding. Like, honestly, Brent and I like to keep things, as much as we love a layered bed, it's also important to keep things simple just so that the structure of the bed actually shows off. So we did a little T-bow trim, but kept everything really, again, like pulled together some of the fabrics of the room so that this just became a participant and didn't become the lone structure in this room, which is really a large master bedroom. So we wanted to make sure that everything kind of worked to keep the room feeling sizable. One of my favorite pieces actually is this piece of art that is an Ellen Langford piece. She's a Mississippi-based artist. When I was first working in design in Mississippi, she and I shared studio space for like the first 6 or 7 years. And she and I traded off, and she made me this piece, and I call it Das Boot, but it just is one of the most restful and peaceful things. I love waking up to this every day. It is just one of my favorite pieces of art in our home. Home is this person. This person is my home.
You're not supposed to cry on this. You're not supposed to make me cry on this.
But it's true. I mean, for all of this, and I love our house, and for everything I tell you about safety and everything else, I love this person very much, and this is what creates my home, is our marriage and how hard we've worked on it, and that has really created both the enjoyment and the beauty of all of this. It really is what my home is.
I 100% agree.
Thanks for watching.